after the darts of the plan. What's though they made an art of the man? The new knowledge of power. One more prayer. Knowledge is power, and power is knowledge. Break the chains and experience the knowledge. Find power in power, and truth in knowledge. Once you know, no one can take your knowledge. I read book after book, studying the power, spent hour after hour, learning black power, destroying lie after lie. For the power found self in these pages of conceptual power. I found the truth and I'm not letting go. Frederick Douglass and Booker T found power. Nat Turner found truth in his darkest hour. Mama Harriet set us free and stood for we. In these pages I found power in our history. UEP birthed the panther in me. In me, never let a fascist pig carry me, not me. Revolutionary thoughts, all I read. Normal for my soul, keep my spirit on high. Revolutionary thought is always on the rise. Yeah, it's always on the rise. Love. Knowledge is power, and power is knowledge. Break the chains and experience the knowledge. Find power in power, and truth in knowledge. Once you know, no one can take your knowledge. I read book after book, studying the power, spent hour after hour, learning black power, destroyed lie after lie. For the power found self in these pages of conceptual power. Our problem was never us, our problems was them. Them being the ones who robbed and took us, kings and queens, nation builders. From stolen legacy to Anthony Browder, building institutions with black knowledge. Build black libraries for black scholars, building black minds, urban philosophy, urban black reads every one place. Black owned bookstores, we support your space. To all black authors, we give much thanks. Knowledge is power, and power is knowledge. Break the chains and experience the knowledge. Find power in power, and truth in knowledge. Once you know, no one can take your knowledge. I read book after book, studying the power, spent hour after hour, learning black power, destroyed lie after lie. For the power found self in these pages of conceptual power. Our problem was never us. Our problem was never us. Our problem was never us. Ooh. Knowledge is power. Our power is knowledge. Break the chains and experience the knowledge. Find power in power and truth in knowledge. Once you know, no one can take your knowledge.
Peace, 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 family. Peace to everyone under the sound of my voice. Welcome to another powerful discussion with your sister, Dr. Ma'at. I see the family is coming in here. You're trickling in, family. You're trickling in for tonight's discussion, family. You see the title, Are Chauvinism and Sexism Still Issues Among Black Men in 2026? And I'm going to lay out the impetus for tonight's discussion, but I do want to shout out to my audience family who's in the building. I see Galactic Seed is in the building. He says, Alafia, thank you for tonight's discussion. Peace and love to you, beloved. I see our great Dr. Dennis Assault Winkler's in the building. Doc, I've been getting caught up on some of your lives, man. Fire, fire, fire. I had no idea that Dr. Charles Simmons had transitioned. Peace be upon his soul. And family, if you all don't know who he is, all you got to do is just Google Sojourner Douglas College here in Baltimore. This is a brother that founded an actual college in Baltimore. So I'm going to check out that live that you did with him. I know you did kind of like a rewind when he transitioned, but peace and love to you. Amani Nat and Guvu, Doc, peace and love to you. Peace and power. I see, what's that? JG11 is in the building. Oh, he's showing love to Dr. Winkler. He said, Dr. Winkler, peace and love, brother. I see my E5 twins are in the building. Peace and love to my E5 twins. Bibi Fahodie, race first to you. Nate, we don't need the energy, Nate. I'm gonna put your comment on the screen, but you talking about here we go with the faces and all of that. You didn't have to click the link, right? You could just scroll through or unsubscribe so you won't get any notifications. I see my other E5 twins are in the building. A BB Fahodie to you. And I see my guy, my dude, Travis is in the building. Travis, I'm gonna drop the link. I'm so glad to have you here. I know that you had a lot to say about some of Baba's points that he made in the clip that kind of sort of went a little viral. There was a lot of engagement on there, and you had some things you wanted to say. So I'm going to drop the link in the chat, okay? for you, Brother Travis, so you can hop on the panel because I know it was some things that that you wanted to address as well. All right, family, let me make a few announcements. A few announcements before we get tonight's discussion started. Family, make sure that you head on over to UACI STEM Camp. Get your child enrolled ASAP. This is a STEM camp that's 100% virtual. We send your children out STEM kits and we build things with them, right? Because the whole objective of this camp, or one of the main objectives of this camp, is to make sure that our children have skills, okay? And I'm talking about technological skills. And so they're learning cybersecurity concepts, artificial intelligence concepts, machine learning, the fundamentals of programming. Because even though AI can code for you, like AI can write code at this point, right? AI can write Python, AI can write Java, AI can write Perl, right? AI can write C and C++. But we got to make sure, family, that because it's technology isn't infallible, right? Things happen. So even though AI can write code for you, it's imperative, family, that we make sure that our children still know how to write code. You know what I mean? Like software can write, AI can write for you, but it's still imperative that our children know how to write. Ashe? All right. And let me post. This is the link to the UACI STEM camp. All right. So make sure that you get your child enrolled. This camp is free. Okay. No registration fee is necessary. We are only accepting 50 students. And we had, I think this is like our 5th or 6th cohort. And so there are a lot of returning students. This camp is targeting students between the ages of 8 to 17. And so there are a lot of parents who are putting their children in this camp. So if you head on over to uacistemcamp.com, just listen to some of these parent testimonials. This camp is sponsored by the CAP Center at Morgan State University, which is a cybersecurity center, the Seamless Center, which is the Artificial Intelligence Center. And shout out to my sister, Vicky Dillard. Vicky Dillard makes sure that she ensures that every cohort she sponsors probably about 3 or 4 children to come through the camp. So shout out to our sponsors. Summer 2026 registration is now open. All you got to do, family, is come on over here, click on a link, and enroll your child. It doesn't matter where your child is. Doesn't matter if you're in New York or California. You can participate. And family, we've also have formed partnerships with different organizations. One, a large organization, shout out to 22 Ways Academy in California. Shout out to the Dream Center down in North Carolina. And then there's another, is a church. I forgot the name of the church, and forgive me if the pastor's watching, but it's a church down in Columbus County, North Carolina, and their children are participating in the UACI STEM camp. I'm sharing this with you so you'll understand that these slots are going to go fast. 50 slots sound like a lot, but when we put the call out, it's going to go fast. And so if you're on this platform tonight and you have a child, a grandchild, a niece, a nephew, a cousin, a goddaughter, a friend, a sister, brother, get your child enrolled today, okay? Get your child enrolled today. And also, family, make sure that you head on over here to meltrek365.com. Not only, look, I've been promoting the hoodie a whole lot. You know, we're celebrating 100 years, right? 100 years of celebrating Black history. Institutionalizing really the celebration of Black history from Negro History Week to Black History Month. And we created hoodies to commemorate that. And we're still celebrating the centennial, although we're no longer in February, okay? And so head on over to Meltrek 365. I'm going to drop the Meltrek 365 link in the chat, okay? The URL. Make sure that you click on the link, come over here, click on shop now button, grab your hoodie, grab your t-shirt. And while you're on Meltrek 365, make sure that you scroll down to the films, grab Meltrek episode 1, 2, and 3, which teaches Black children Black history from a Black perspective. These are the digital downloads. So as soon as you click on it and pay for it, you download the film. Okay. All right. So I think that's enough, family. I think that's enough of the announcements. But I got to make these announcements at the beginning of my podcast because a lot of times people say, y'all always talk about the problems, but you don't talk about the solutions. And there's plenty of solutions out here, family. So we got to promote just as much as we promote the problems and we analyze problems. We have to make sure we're just as aggressively promoting the solutions. Ashe? All right, man. So without further ado, I see Baba is in the building. Peace and hotep to you, Baba. How are you?
Peace, Hotep. I'm well. I apologize for my slight tardiness.
Oh, you good,
But
Baba?
I'm well. As always, it's an honor to be here with you, Dr. Mott.
Always an honor to have you, Baba. And you shook up the internet. We put out a clip of you, and I'm going to play it for the family. I put out a clip, and I said this to you. I don't know if you remember towards the end, and you dropped a lot of information during that particular live, right? You dropped a lot of information. You talked about the political activism of the 1800s, taught a lot of stuff going back from, I believe it was 1829 all the way up to 1894, right? And you laid out, a lot of things that were happening to our people. How they were organizing politically, how they were having these Negro conventions, and then you talked about, the amendments. It was a lot, but at the end, you started talking about black female relationships. And I remember, if you go back and watch the clip, Baba, when you was going off, you was like, yeah, you build it. I said, Baba, that's going to be the clip that get them. Remember, I said, that's going to be the clip that's going to go viral. And sure enough, the next day, Bob, I'm laying in bed and I'm chopping it up, right, putting it together. And sure enough, we had a lot of engagement. I put the clip out, and it was a lot of brothers, man. They came to you, man. And shout out again to my man Travis backstage, Baba, because he said he wanted to holler at you. He was one of the brothers on the thread, and you said, man, we're gonna do this next week, man. And he's like, all right, really respectful brother, love him to death. Really respectful brother. But he wrote this long soliloquy underneath, the post, because he disagreed with some of your points. And so he's backstage. He's like, I want to holler at Baba. I said, okay, so we're going to unpack this tonight. But Baba, before we do, I gotta play the clip. I gotta roll the clip, Baba. And Baba, I'm not gonna lie, I laughed so hard when you said, where your family at? And then turned around, Baba. I said, Baba's a fool. Here we go, Baba. Here we go. Let me make sure I'm sharing my audio, because I know a lot of times people start yelling at me in the chat. Doc, you're not sharing your audio. So yes, I'm sharing my audio. This clip, Baba. Here we go. Here we go.
Real quick, I was having a conversation with some brothers, and I was explaining, about how a lot of brothers, and they don't like to hear this, but this is the truth, because I work with men and I listen to them, right? And I've been trying to get them to understand. I say some of your views, I'm not saying you as a person is this, but some of your views are chauvinistic. It's sexist, and I know where it comes from. When I hear it, I know the origin. And I'm saying you have to change that, right? We have to change that. You can't hold on to this outdated, outmoded view about Black women. We can't keep on saying that the man should run and rule his house. No, that's outdated, right? It got to be a co-equal partnership in that house. And then you figure out who's best to do what at different points in the house. Like I tell them all the time, I say, listen, if you come in my house, there's not this table that I'm sitting at right now, this marble table, these blue plus chairs. I didn't have any say-so on these tables, this stuff coming in here. You know why? Because I love my wife, and I know she's gonna make the best decision for us. I don't need to be a part of that discussion. I don't need to be saying, well, what table you want? I don't gotta be in there. I can be doing something else. She's gonna do what's right for us. The living room chair set, the dining set, and all that stuff, she did all of that. The pictures on the wall, the altar space, she done it all. Right? But check this out. When we step outside this house, I don't care where we at. The moment we leave our house, we step into a war zone.
Teach.
And you know who got to deal with the enemy first? Me. So in the war zone, that's when my role won't come up. So listen to me in this war zone, because I'm going to be the one that got to deal with the enemy first. See? And so we work it like that. You know what I'm saying? In terms of who bring the money in, we both bring the money in. There are some times when I'm not going out, I don't go out and go to work at all. My wife doesn't. There's times when she don't go out. She don't. I go out. We work it like that because there's an understanding, and we are working in concert for us. It ain't, do what I say, you know what I'm saying? Make me dinner, this, that. I still wash the clothes. I cook sometimes. And sometimes she cook. Ain't no, you need to be doing the cooking and all that. We got to get rid of that because it's destroying our families. It's destroying our families, and we can't keep talking about nation building, and we don't even know how to build a damn family. That's foolishness we talking. You want to build and run a nation, and you can't even run a family. You can't even work in concert with one person, and you talking about one of the whole nation. We're talking stupidly, man. You know, we're talking stupidly because we want to be in the mood and sounding good. Nation building, nation. Where your family at? You know, where your family at? You mean to tell me at 45 you ain't got a woman? You mean to tell me at 45 that everybody you picked was wrong? There's something's wrong with you. If at 45 you still can't discern how to pick a good compliment, then there's a problem in you, brother. There's a problem in you at 45. There's no reason why a 45-year-old man can run around, he ain't got a family or building a family. There's no reason why. You know what I'm saying? You can't convince me that all your life that every woman you chose was wrong. If that's the case, if that is the case, that's an indication that something's still wrong inside of you. Right?
Bob, I'm clipping this part. This is the one that would go viral. You didn't look, Bob, you didn't made a whole presentation, right, about everything. And then taking that one clip about relationships, they'd be like, I'm trying to tell you, Bobby, you were the internet with that one.
You put something on the doc post. You said, I think I might get you wrong, but I'm gonna paraphrase. I believe you said cleaning house, something like that.
Yeah, I said let's clean house.
Let's clean house. That's where we at. So we're not holding no punches, man. This is the truth. And I love my brothers. That's why I do the work with black men. That's why I'm doing the work with husbands, because I love them. But at the same time, I gotta call out this backwards way of thinking when I see it. Gotta call it out. And we gotta change it. We got to change it and learn how to work with that black woman. We work together. That's why we say complementarity. Because we doing this. We coming together to work in concert. There's going to be times when she's going to be better adapt and better equipped to execute some things. Let her do it. You're not naturally better at everything because you man. And that's a flaw in thinking. Right? Believe it or not, I'm going to say this to you, right? My wife sleep. And I'm going to say this online.
My wife sleep.
I'm going to say this online. Because I want the world to hear this right here. I've always been confident in my abilities to do the right thing by our people. My wife makes me a better man. I'm better because of her. I'm not better without her. I'm clear about that. I'm not better if we break up and I'm running around masculine doing my own thing. I'm not better. I'm gonna be in a worse without her. She's necessary to me. She's essential to my psychological stability. Essential to it. That much I'm clear about.
See, so Baba, I wanted everybody, because that clip, if you noted, that clip was like 5 minutes long. But on Instagram, in order for your reel to get more visibility, it has to be about 3 minutes, no more than 3 minutes.
Yes.
So I tried to chop it up as much as I could to touch on your points. Let me ask you this, Baba, in front of the listening audience, do you regret anything that you said in that clip? Do you feel like you need to rephrase anything, or do you feel like you stand on what you said?
No, I stand on what I say, but what I've noticed, and I've been noticing it with black people, when you're dealing with people who have been oppressed the way that we have been over a very long period of time, oftentimes we are in fight or flight mode perpetually. Like we're always in fight or flight. So when we hear certain things, we don't catch the whole context. We throw the context out the window and we zero in on the part that we want to argue against. That's what happens to us. And the point that I made there is that I'm not, because people were saying, well, people can choose to be single. You can choose to be by yourself. That is clear. That's why I said that I said that you can't convince me that every person that you've chose. See, I was speaking to the brothers who've been saying that they haven't found anybody. See, I was speaking specifically to that mindset of brothers, and many of them in often cases, when I go deeper into their questioning, why they haven't found anyone, the first thing they say is, well, I haven't found nobody that's submissive to me. So I was speaking to a mentality that I have observed. So if they listen to the whole context, they would have got that. So I do not regret, nor am I going to retract anything that I said, because I stand with, I know it to be true. I know that black men today in 2026, not every black man, I'm not saying every, I'm not throwing a blanket statement on every black man, but I am saying that there is a preponderance and a pervasiveness in the area of male chauvinism in relation to black men and black women. And that is what I'm calling out. You know, because no one can convince me that an incompetent, imbecile man, by virtue of anatomy and biology, should rule. Only a fool would go for that. So you can't tell me that man by nature is the ruler, when I know firsthand foolish men. I know foolish people. You don't put a fool in charge of a military. You don't put a fool in charge of anything. Nowhere in the world anybody going to put a fool in charge of something. And so we're running around here beating our chests talking about because we are man, we should be the ruler. And in many instances, I'm watching individuals who can barely think correctly. No, that's foolishness. And no one can argue against that. The only way you argue against that, if the rock that I threw hit you. That's the only way you'll try to argue against it. Because you can't come on here tonight and convince me that a fool should be in charge because he's a man. To put forth that argument is because the rock thrown out there, it hit you. So rather than trying to argue against it, you should do some self-evaluation and correct what need to be corrected within you.
Yeah, and Baba, I want to say this. This isn't a new conversation. Like when we talk about sexism and chauvinism in the black community, if people study it, and you and I, and even Dr. Asar, a lot of in my circle, my crew, we often emphasize the importance of studying, the importance of reading and studying. If you study this, especially our history here, and even in Africa, because I can name some examples, but this conversation has been being had a long time. They were talking about this stuff during the freedom movement, right? During the Black Panther Party, they talked about sexism, and even over in Steve Biko's organization. What was that? SOS, Baba? They were talking about, the women were complaining about sexism then and chauvinism then. Like, this isn't a new conversation. And I don't know, Baba. I want to ask you this. Where do you think it comes from? Where do you think it all started? Right? I know that's probably a little loaded, but yeah, we've been having this conversation for centuries, right? I mean, it's been there. If you study the history, you know that this conversation has been ongoing, even in our struggles against, racism and brutality. It's still those illnesses or diseases of chauvinism and sexism are still present. When and why do you think it started?
So I'll address it like this. I believe so my context for this particular conversation, I'm gonna confine it to the United States of America.
Okay.
All right. So when looking at the United States of America, we're dealing with socialization. To a great extent, we have been socialized like that. So even, and I kind of mentioned it in my presentation, even some of the people that I mentioned in my presentation who were great individuals, they still had views about women, and which came from how they were socialized. Most of those brothers in that time period, they came into their knowledge through some form of religion, because that was an open avenue that they could come through into knowledge. So even back during that time period, some of them displayed, that form of thinking. But it really comes down to how we have been socialized over time in this particular society, the socialization and the miseducation and the models that we have observed weren't always the best models. And then some of the books we've read, some of the movies we've watched, TV, all these things add up, and all these things play a part in creating our subconscious mind, and it shapes our views. So the views are shaped that way, you know, and that's how we're still here to this day, because the land we're in, there are many people that's not, I like to say, you know, interrogate your thinking. There are many people that's not interrogating their thinking. They're believing that their thoughts are, you know, silent. It requires no interrogation. But there's no growth and development when you're not interrogating how you think, so you can refine that form of thinking, that thought process. So the origin of it in the United States of America, I believe, is layered. But at the base of it, I would say it still ties all back to how we've been socialized. And that socialization comes out of this particular American context.
No, absolutely. I mean, Bob, I couldn't agree with you more. Let's dive in really quickly, because I do know some people are waiting. Nate, I got you, brother. I got you. Nate, like, I want to hop on. Let me know when I can hop on. I got you, Nate. I got you, Nate. I got you, Travis. There's another brother in the back. I see you guys. I just want to tap in just really quickly. Baba, let's dive into religious thinking, though. Yeah. You know, I want to dive into that because, you know, that's a part of our socialization process here, right? Yes. Being, you know, subscribing to religions and practicing religion. And, you know, I remember growing up in the church and hearing, you know, Genesis, right? Man was created first, you know, he was created first. You know, woman brought sin into the world because she gave Adam the apple. Yes. You know, in the passages in the Bible, I suffer a woman not to teach, but to learn in silence, right? Yeah. She need to learn from her husband, you know. And so you see this stuff. And even I remember my mom, who's a pastor, when she first came along and started preaching, my pastor, Dr. Reverend Samuel Ray, he ended up transitioning in 2015. But I remember when she did her initial sermon back in like 2008, he said that there were men in his community who criticized him because he shared his pulpit with women, and they did not believe that a woman should be standing there teaching the word of God. And he caught flack from actually, you know, mentoring. I don't want to, for lack of a better word, but for nurturing, you know, and supporting female ministers, one being my mother, you know. And so you had these, you know, this women couldn't get divorced. Remember in the Bible, women couldn't get divorced. So it's a lot of that type of stuff, you know, and I don't think that we understand how when we, and I'm speaking of Christianity, but you can see this in, you know, Judaism and Islam as well. All of the Abrahamic faiths, there's this hierarchy, right? It's God, it's man, and then it's woman. If you look at Christianity, women aren't even in the damn Trinity. We done got taken out of the Trinity. It's God, it's Jesus, and we got replaced with the Holy Spirit, okay? And so we're not even in the Trinity, but you see this, you know, and then men say, oh, women don't make good decisions because look what happened to Eve. She let the devil tempt her so women can get tempted, you know. But then I say, well, look at Adam. He was the fool for allowing a woman to tempt. So what are we talking about here? You know what I mean? But it's this hierarchy. It's God, it's man, and it's woman. And then you hear things like, well, the man is the head, and then the woman is the neck, you know, and it's these different things. But Baba, when I study African cosmologies, you don't see that in African, not the ones I've come across, you know, in African cosmologies, they promoted, you know, complementarity. It talks about being in the womb in some of these different African ethnicities. In some of their cosmologies, it talked about how man and woman were created simultaneously in the womb of the creator. You know, like they talked about that complementarity. Ma'at. It wasn't this, he was born, you know, he was created first, so he should be this, and then you were created second, so you should be this, and then this. And so what are your thoughts about that, Baba? I mean, I know I said a lot, but what are your thoughts about that, about Abrahamic faiths? And you kind of touched on it. You said, you know, religion does play a role in it, but what about that dichotomy you see between Abrahamic faiths and African cosmologies?
So what we're dealing with in that regard, the first thing I want to put out there for the listeners is that however any other race of people choose to govern themselves in their culture, they can do whatever they choose to do with each other.
That's right.
So I want to say that up front. That's their choice. When we're dealing with religion, we're dealing with worldview. So what you have here, you have two different worldviews. So within their worldview, those particular religions, they display how they see the woman. So it manifests in their particular religious cosmology. Their perception of woman shows up there. And then when you're looking at the African cosmologies, real quick, before the invasions that came in through Islam and Christianity, and even the Jews who came in, around in the 8th century, before any of this came in, you're looking at African cosmologies and African thought, you're going to see complementarity. You're going to see the man and woman working in concert, because the cosmologies were designed to replicate the harmony that exists in nature, because African people didn't see themselves outside of nature, nor do we see ourselves in competition with nature. We viewed ourselves in relationship to nature, so therefore we built societies that would mimic the order that was in nature. So therefore we saw everything as being harmonized, so we sought to create such harmony in our societies and within our families and within our organizations. So that's why you see the two different things when you're looking at those Abraham, Isaac, and the rest of them, Muhammad, and all of that, because they are coming out a different worldview, a different set of socio-political and historical circumstances that shaped how they see the universe and themselves in relation to the universe.
Absolutely.
And that's what happened. And that thinking have been permeated through all the systems and the institutions that we come in contact with in this society.
Baba, I would even say that we ourselves build. It's been institutions that we actually, not even that we come in contact with, but even the institutions that we build, that this thought, these feelings permeate through the systems that we ourselves build on this land. You know what I mean, Baba?
Yeah. But yeah, I agree with that. But I'm also speaking from the point of view of still dealing with your initial question, like where it comes from.
Oh, okay.
So I was still speaking like the institutions we come in contact with is what shape the thinking that we perpetuate.
Understood.
So I was saying it from that perspective. So trying to say like these religions have already they've infested all these institutions because this society built them, right? In this society. So we enter these institutions and it gets into us. And then as we move out and we replicate institutions, we build that thinking into it. So when we set up our institutions, our families, our educational institutions, whatever, we are practicing the same thought process.
Absolutely.
And subsequently perpetuating that same imbalance.
Absolutely. I mean, I couldn't agree with you more. And then also, Bob, I read this book a while ago by Ife Amadoume. She wrote a book called Male Daughters, Female Husbands. I know the title sounds crazy because the title was off-putting when I first heard it, but she made it clear, because I read books from cover to cover, Bob. I don't just start at chapter one. I read everything. I read the preface, the introduction. I read all that stuff. The forward, I read everything. She made it clear in the beginning in that book that she wasn't talking about any type of LBGTQ stuff. She was saying that she was talking about her culture, was this Igbo culture. And in that particular society, she talked about how like it wasn't this man ruled the house and they didn't have that. She said it in Igbo society, and I don't know if this is still true today. I read the book probably over a decade ago, but she talked about how it wasn't, men and women weren't confined to certain roles. Like, you're the man, you're supposed to make all this money. You're the woman, stay home and cook and clean. She actually said that in her book that some of the men were very domestic. Some of them stayed home and did a lot of the domestic work, and the women went off to the marketplace to sell their goods and make money. So you don't see these rigid gender roles when you're studying I'll say traditional African societies and even some of the contemporary ones. And I'm not saying, like you said, that they haven't been infected, because I don't want anybody to think Dr. Mod is romanticizing Africa. No, I'm not. Trust me, they have their issues over there too. I'm speaking to my research and what I've read regarding the Igbo society. And she was saying in her book, when she described the society, that the gender roles weren't as like rigid. It was about doing what's best for the household. at the end of the day. Baba, what's your thoughts on that?
No, I'm familiar with the book and the author. She got several strong pieces out. So no, that's accurate and that's true. And what I would add to that is because once again, coming out of our societies, we gotta consistently say pre-invasions, because our people are very short in their thinking. So we talking about pre-invasion before the societies were all jacked up and corrupted and things to that effect. But the world view wasn't one where as though it was always this split dichotomy. Like this split dichotomy where as though it's you or me over, it's imported. And like I say, even those of us over here in the United States of America, within these institutions, we are inundated with that type of logic. So that's why we can't see ourselves. You even mentioned that men and women should be harmonized, and we can't even see it. We automatically push against that, and we start thinking like, no, I should be the one that's this, that. No, we can't even reason that we should be working in concert.
Yeah.
It's like, it gotta be me, And then we start saying like, well, if it ain't me, that's messing family up, you messing it up. Because once again, to the thought that you have to work in concert with a person who you fundamentally see as being beneath you or inferior to you is hard to do. It's no different than white people in their relation to black people, right? It's no different. It's hard for a white person to actually see a black person as an equal because they got a view about black people. So they struggle in that regard. There's a struggle going on. How can I see you? That's why the boy thing, boy. They can be standing right beside a white guy, Mr. Jones, boy, right? Because to call you Mr. and also call a white man Mr. is to equate y'all the same. So in their mind, I'm not going to equate you as one of us. So I need a way to address you in a context that renders you beneath or less than I am. And that's what's happening with us. We're still struggling with that. And that's why we feel how we feel. Whether we want to acknowledge it or not, but that's what that is.
No, absolutely. I mean, Baba, I couldn't agree with you more. I couldn't agree with you more than that. My last question before I bring up the two brothers, one at a time, and also Mr. Nate, I know you're in the chat. Baba, those of us, why do you think it's so hard to shake, this, or rid ourselves of chauvinism? And I'm talking about people who actually like no longer are religious, like you got some people who've walked away from, Judaism, Islam, Christianity. They've walked away and they say, I'm conscious, I'm woke. And they come into it. I'm African centered. I'm a black nationalist. I'm a Pan-African. I'm black first, but they still bring this stuff into the fold. Still bring sexism, chauvinism, misogyny, even the sisters, Miss Andrew, bring it on, because it's not just the brothers, the sisters. There's a lot of stuff going on with the sisters. We still bring all that type of stuff into movements that we say, movements in which we claim we want liberation. We want to be liberated, but we bring all this stuff with us, Baba. Hatred of each other and chauvinism, sexism. Women shouldn't do this, men shouldn't do that. We bring all that into even our liberation movements. What are your thoughts on that? Why is it hard for us to shake that and not bring that into spaces that are supposed to be liberated spaces?
Because information by itself doesn't bring about transformation. So yes, a person can walk away from a religion, but you've already been psychologically orientated within that religion. So you can walk away and you can come in contact with new information. But if you're not going in to reorientate yourself, you are still going to hold those views. They're going to be the underlying substratum of your thinking. So your logic is going to permeate from that underlying substratum that had already been put there. unless you go in and intentionally reorientate how you see the world so that information can become more internalized. Because we go through a process when we talk about learning. Imitation, assimilation, internalization, and utilization. Many people never get to utilization. Very few people get to internalization. Right? Most people only get to the assimilation part or the imitation part, because I can learn a bunch of information and then I can just imitate it by spitting it out there. That's the beginning stages to the learning process. I haven't even begun to allow that information to sink into me, to assimilate it. And most definitely, I haven't got to the point where as though I have made it a part of my being through internalization. And lastly, I'm most definitely not maximizing internalization through utilization. So that's why we have this, because a lot of us are just at the imitation stage. We just got a bunch of information. That's it. And we think information equates to knowledge. And I say it all the time, information precedes knowledge, but information isn't necessarily knowledge. Right? So we got to understand these processes, and we're not getting into these levels of conversations. We're still at everything is superficial for us. We're not really going deep to understand how knowledge formation happens, how transformation happens, and how innovation takes place. Because through internalization, that is what allows us to get to utilization. And from utilization, you can begin to innovate. And that's when you step into the stage of new knowledge formation.
Yes. You speaking my language. You speaking my language.
Formation happen after you go through these 4 stages. And a lot of us are not going through those 4 stages. We get stuck at number 1, imitation. Then a small amount of us make it to assimilation. A whole lot of us never even get to internalization, and very few ever get to utilization.
Teach.
And then it's a minute fraction that gets to innovation, where we bringing forth new knowledge.
I like that pyramid, Bob. You need to put that in the pyramid if you ain't got it. You got that in a pyramid, which you just broke down? Baba, you know my wheels start turning. Yeah. I saw a whole pyramid. That's what I saw, Baba. Pyramid, get that out, Baba, right there. But no, thank you for that, Baba. And Dr. Winkler, I see what you said. We were talking. I mentioned, I threw that in, that females have these issues too, and he said yes. He said because there are sisters who would have had problems with this full statement. Dr. Asar also said, I'm speaking of the ones who fight for rigid gender roles, while others are fighting for no gender roles at all and see culture as topic. So yeah, the sisters going through it too. And Baba, I'm gonna be honest before I let the brothers up. I have my stuff too, Baba. You know, I remember I was on the phone, and I'm gonna be honest, Baba. Y'all know I get candid with you all. I had a problem with female truck drivers. And I had to check myself, Baba. That's what I'm just speaking, Baba. And one of my cousins, he's a truck driver. He said, "You have an issue with female truck drivers?" I said, "I don't think women should be on the road." And he looked at me. He said, "Cuzzo," he said, "You know how you are. You open-minded. You did it." I said, "I don't believe that. I don't think women should be on that road. I don't think the road is built for women." I also said this, Baba. I said, he said, because he knew I was in the military. So he said, "Well, what did you do when you was in the military?" I said, "Cuz when I was in the military, I was a finance officer. I did finance. A finance specialist. Sorry, I was a finance specialist. So my MOS, which is your military occupational specialty, was 73 Charlie." And he said, "Would you have done infantry?" I said, "No, I don't think women should be on the front line." No. I said, "I wouldn't have done infantry." I said, "Now, what I would have done was brought the water bottles out there to the men on the front line, Baba." I said, "I would have been out there with a water jug, and I would have brought it to the men, and I'd have carried my tail back to the lines." You know, so I know that I have my stuff, you know, like my ideas of what men should do and what women, you know, should do as well. And I'm just giving those, you know, those examples, you know, even with female police officers, you know, and I look at some sisters and I'm like, yo, you out like that. So Baba, when it comes to certain things, I myself, I'm gonna be real. Like I myself think of, if my father, when he's with me, he pumps my gas. My sons, when they're with me, they pump my gas. My son takes the trash out. Now, if they're not around to do that type of stuff, Baba, yeah, I'm going to pump my gas. I'm going to take my trash out, right? If they're not around to defend me, Well, I'm gonna throw hands anyway, Baba. So even if the men was around, I'm throwing hands. I'm jumping in anyway. So I mean, I'm that type of female. But I'm saying, but the point that I'm making, Baba, is that I'm also caught up, when it comes to certain roles. I'm like, I don't think that women should do that. I don't think, men should do that. And so I'm trying to break myself out of that as well. What were you thinking, Bob? I saw your
So
head
no,
kind of tilt.
I think like in all things, it's very contextual. Nothing exists or happens outside of a context. And I don't think having a preference is the same as taking a hard line. They're not the same. It's not the same as me saying, because I can say this right here. It's easy. I can say, well, I would prefer, if we go to war, I would prefer for the men to go first. That's a preference.
Okay, I'm with you. I'm with you.
That's not me saying that I don't believe that women can go to war. That's not saying that. So, but in the same sense, I can still say that I feel like men should go to war. Women should stay home with the children, make sure the children are good. And then if the men fall, then the women got to advance to the forefront.
Absolutely.
They got to advance to the forefront. Then the elderly people are going to be there with the children, right? We got to keep advancing, but we advance in ranks. So I can say it that way and still hold the position that I believe that in a family, that's a context. In a family, I believe a husband and a wife should operate in unison. That's what I'm arguing.
Okay. Right? Okay. Well, Baba, I'm going to bring up Brother Travis. Brother Travis, I appreciate you waiting, brother, so patiently in the back. Brother Travis, peace and love to you, warrior. How are you?
What's going on? Can y'all hear me?
I hear you loud and clear, King. How you doing?
I'm doing beautiful. First of all, shout out to you, Dr. Mod. You're the GOAT. I love you. I think you're amazing.
I love you too, King. I love you too, King. You already know. And I always enjoy reading your commentary online. And even when you and I disagree, you be like, I disagree. I love you, sis. I'm like, I love you, bro. We disagree, but we still keep it peaceful. And I love your perspective. And love and honor to you always. But what were your thoughts about what Baba said? Because you wrote like a long soliloquy underneath his, and you were like, I disagree. Yeah. So I said, brother, we going to live on Friday, and then you could express to him what your thoughts are. So what are your thoughts? You have the floor.
Real quick, you're not the brother that call me soft, are you?
No, I don't do that.
Okay, all right. You know what I'm saying? I was going to suggest you look.
She wouldn't even have put me on here, man.
I was just about to say, Baba, you know me. He wouldn't have even had a platform. I wouldn't even platform him, not at all. But go ahead, Brother Travis.
Yeah. So first of all, just to recap that, respect to you, brother. Shout out to you. You know what I'm saying? And I always respect the good brothers that's putting in work. Mm-hmm. And I want to be very, very clear. I'm not taking a shot at you at all personally. There's nothing at all to do with that. So I don't want you to think that. I think you're a good brother based upon what I've seen. I've seen you on other podcasts too as well. This isn't the only podcast I've seen you on. And based upon you being friends with Dr. Ma'at, like I always say, Dr. Ma'at is as consistent as the 97 Bulls. She's just super consistent. So, I like her work. So I know if she's working with you, you'll stand up, brother. But yeah, in general, I want to be frank. I'm not opposed to, I think, the ideas or the foundations of the stuff that you were saying. I think the biggest issue I actually have is with the language. And I'm going to tell you the reason why. Because you're, as both black men are under attack by everybody, publicly. Like publicly, everybody attacks us. And when I got married, in 2014, I started seeing so many different avenues black men were being attacked. We're being attacked by everybody, right? And then when I started looking at the data and started looking at the research, I started seeing that most of the stuff that people are saying are not true. So, for example, people like to say black men are homophobic. Actually, black men are the most progressive men out of every single men that come to America. There's no men that's more progressive than black men, literally by our voting record. That's number one. Number two, like, for example, what you just said. You was like, hey, listen, black men, y'all got to get your act together. Y'all be sexist, right? That, just using your words. But when you look at the data, black men are the most egalitarian men in the household. There's no other group of men more egalitarian than black men. And if you need the data on that, I can provide that for you. So when I see a lot of this language, the reason why I'm saying that is because I'm not sure how beneficial it is to say that. And if you're talking to a specific person, cool, right? But when you say that about black men, it comes across like, yo, is this just another? And I know that's not your intention. I want to be very clear. I understand that's not your intention. I know you do good work. I want to be very, very clear about that. But I'm just saying that message oftentimes is reinforced by so many different avenues that black men are sexist, black men are this, black. I mean, even Obama. We heard what Obama said, right?
Yeah, I
You know,
remember. Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? You know, and there was other people too. All black men are sexist. This is the reason why they're not voting for cop. Blah blah blah. And it's all false. We're the most progressive out of all these men. So I just want to say, a good brother, again, you know, shout out to you. But you know, I just want to challenge maybe some of the language that you use, because I do agree that, you know, it's important to have a system of protection. However, I do want to say this too as well. We need more masculinity. We don't need less masculinity. We need more masculinity. The things you were describing, incompetent men, that's not masculinity. This is why I pointed to Dr. Jawanza Kunjufu in his book, for example, Countering the Conspiracy to Destroy Black Males.
Teach.
Yeah, the good brother. Shout out to him. Rest in power to him.
Yes.
What he said, and then by the way, my wife is the one that gave me his book. And in that book, he talks about rites of passage. That's a perfect thing that we need in the black community, right? I agree. Black men who are incompetent shouldn't be in a relationship with nobody. Like they shouldn't be in a relationship with nobody. So why are we talking about these black men in a relationship with anybody anyway, right? The only black men we should be talking about are competent men that actually can have a relationship, and those men should be head of household, not less. I don't, in fact, I would even, this is the last point I'm making, then you can go ahead, brother. You were actually making, because I listened to some of your work about when blacks were most revolutionary or putting in the most work politically. But that's also, back then is when we also had the highest version of quote unquote male households, right? Men in charge, men doing the things that you were talking about. So it's like, okay, if we're the most politically engaged in the past, and we had a higher marriage rate where men were, because you also said on this live that back then they had a more kind of like chauvinistic viewpoint. Well, if we were more politically engaged back then, I'm just, what data are you using to say we need to be, I guess, um, not have a view that men should be head of household? Like, what is the data you're pulling to kind of like say that? That would be my question to you.
Okay. So no, I appreciate that, my brother. You did an excellent job making yourself very clear. And I didn't take, I wouldn't even took anything you said as a point against me personally. So the first thing I would say is I believe every conversation should happen within a context. So my context of my statement was about me pinpointing individuals who are not sustaining relationships, and then their reasons for not sustaining relationships is about their view of black women. So I'm calling out something that is happening within our community, but not throwing a blanket on every black man, because I'm a black man, and I believe I made it known. I know good black men. So it's not a blanket statement, but it is a problem in the community that has to be addressed. So that was the focus within that context. Oftentimes, what happens when we seek to address that particular issue, it becomes a defense from the brother's side, because the brothers feel like the blanket has been thrown on them, and we can't see the issue that clearly exists. So, like I say, even in that time period, that's why I pointed out Frederick Douglass as being one of the first ones who actually pushed to have women involved. But even during that time period, you had women who always stood up and spoke up and wanted to be involved in that particular context all the way through. So in terms of the households, the black woman and the black man working together, from when you say research that I'm using, I'll say this right here. For me, the research is the primary data I utilize through historical studies. So I'm a student of our history. I've been studying our history since 1993. So I have 30 years in studying it. And looking at the black family during the times of chattel enslavement, looking at how things were during that time period of in chattel enslavement. In most instances, in most of those families, those homes, the woman wasn't subordinated in that house. See, when the black man that was in them slave quarters and things like that, he went out, he did what he did, but in that house when he came in, she made sure he had food and stuff like that, but she primarily organized how that house was going to be organized. So they had a system in place of how they was going to operate in concert. That's the argument that I'm making. I'm making an argument that we should operate in concert and not necessarily say that the woman should necessarily be beneath, or that the man should solely be the one that's on top. So I'm making that particular argument. And when you look at the data, the enslaved quarters, that's what you see. You see like they had systems of how they operated in concert, who was going to do what, how it was going to be done, that was going to ensure the advancement of that family.
Now, I agree with everything you just said, brother. I want to be clear about that. Like I said, I think the foundation of everything you said, I actually completely agree with. Because I listened to it. I think that maybe this is where we could probably converge thoughts here is I think you could probably recognize how language, particularly on social media, Dr. Martin knew was going to go viral because of the language he was using, right? Right. But if this is coming from all angles, right? Particularly when you say stuff like, oh, the sexism, and I agree, I understand what you're saying. You're not saying all black men are this, but in that clip that was on social media, it still hinged on black men sexist. You see what I'm saying? And saying that language can be very damaging to the overall discourse of what's happening. And even in the concept of what you were talking about in terms of ancient Egypt or the Igbo society, we talk about that for a second. I agree with what you said, for example, in ancient Egypt, but here's the difference. So in ancient Egypt, they saw each other like you all saw, like you all explained, right? It was the system of Ma'at, right? It was everybody this, but they still had a hierarchy, right? The men was still the head of the household. That was the thing, and the women had their thing too. Like I agree that in fact ancient Egypt probably was one of the most egalitarian societies maybe ever, right? But at the same time, they had order, right? They had a structure. And I think that's actually kind of like a little bit of what we're missing now is
Go get on Prophet Tracks, but I want you to unpack that. You said they were, I don't remember reading that. You said the men were still heading the household.
Yeah, it's a patriarchal society. Yeah.
And
yeah.
You said in
ancient Egypt. Yeah.
I wouldn't call it patriarchal though, brother.
Well, we could do it. We could do it like this. Let me ask you this question.
Yeah.
What percent of pharaohs was men?
No, now. it was mostly men who were pharaohs, who were the Subs Beaties, but there were women who also ruled. Dr. John
very few.
Taught us that. Yeah, very few. That is
true.
So
let me pop in on just on that note there. So I do like your thinking though when you said merge thoughts. I don't want to lose that. I did like that. So I'm only popping it down because y'all open up this other can of worms. And my name is Imhotep.
Yeah.
So there's no Nitsubiti who ever came to the throne who didn't receive his political power by way of a black woman.
Sure.
That created the balance. Right? No man could just come to power. He had to be married to a princess. So the political power was transferred through the woman. So so patriarchal and matriarchal are really not terminologies to describe our systems. Now that's another conversation.
Dr. Obati Shaka talked about that.
So patriarchy and matriarchy, they're not ours. That's not our framework. It doesn't truly capture what we've demonstrated in Kemet. But I know that's not the conversation tonight, but I did want to put that in there. But I do like where you're going at when you say we can merge thinking. And I do understand the politics of language. You are absolutely correct.
He is.
Language could, on social media, it could be inflated and it can say all this other stuff and context can be lost. That I do agree with 100%. So to that effect, I would say it's still a conversation that has to be had. Mm-hmm. It's a conversation that's got to be had, but it got to be had in concert with other conversations, because part of that goes back to what I was saying earlier of how we have been conditioned to be in a perpetual fight, flight, freeze type of mode. So when we hear things that we don't agree with, we target straight on that thing and we prepare ourselves to, to fight back rather than saying, let me see the whole context to see what was happening. So we have a lot of areas of work, but I understand what you're saying, and I do agree. I do not disagree with what you said. I do understand what you're saying, and it's actually makes a lot of sense because language is powerful.
There was a study done in 2021 by 4 sisters, right? It's called Family, Economic, and Geographic Characteristics of Black Families with Children, right? Every Black person should view this study. Okay? Everybody should view this study. So it dispels a lot of myths. Firstly, a lot of people don't know this, but Black men are in Black men that have children are in 60% of those households. 60%. Okay, this is number one. So this is irrespective of whether or not you're married or not. So they could be a single parent, but they're still in that household with those kids. You see? You understand what I'm saying? So this is number one. Number two, in this study, they go over the characteristics of what these households look like. And so in this study, it goes over the fact that Black men tend to be, just as you were suggesting previously, right? I think this is just natural to the way we are, right? Tend to be more egalitarian, right? And so this goes back to actually what both of you all are saying in previous, because Africanisms, right? This is just how we are. This is where we come from. This is how we are, right?
Yes.
So we tend to be that way. But the problem is people don't know that. You know what I'm saying? And so when it comes to the data and facts about Black people, what do people really know about us? Only thing they hear, they'll tell you the 1350, right? Which is nonsense. We know that 1350 is nonsense, right? They come from the Nick Fuentes crowd, right?
Yes.
We know, you know what I'm saying? Like they know, 70% of is they know all these data points, but they incorrectly explain what any of that stuff means, or if any of it is even accurate, right?
Facts.
And but don't nobody know. And this is the thing that upsets me probably the most. And it's really got nothing to do with you, by the way. Just to be clear on this point, is it troubles me when I see Black people in general on social media debating and arguing points that have no basis in truth. You know what I'm saying? And so it's like, dang, we're fighting such an uphill battle. And then when I see good brothers like you, this is where you come in at. And it seems like it. I don't want to make it seem like I'm characterizing you like this because I'm not. You are a very good brother, and I love what you're doing. In fact, let me just say this for the record. This is to all the brothers. Marriage is the cheat code in life. If you want to do better in life, get married. Because not only are you going to make more money, but you're going to become a better person. You're going to be a better utilized individual for your community and yourself. So that's just to all the brothers out there. I agree with 100% with your work, brother. But when sometimes when I know I talk to a lot of brothers, I'm in these spaces too as well. I talk to brothers. I'm on podcasts. I do all that stuff too. I run a company, by the way. I'm an entrepreneur. I run a media company, right? And when I talk to brothers, you know what I'm saying? The thing that they're arguing about is that language politically that is so charged. People want to know why there was a rise in quote unquote people voting for the orange man, right? There was a rise in that because unfortunately the language, you know what I'm saying? And let me be very clear. I voted for the same person you did that you endorsed, Dr. Ma'at. You know, I just
Okay,
want to let you know.
cool.
Yeah, I want to be very clear about that.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, and I just think that when we're having these, like you said, good brother, when we're having these conversations, sometimes I just that can be a very powerful tool. And I know we already touched bases and agreed on that. I guess the last point I'll make to you is in terms of moving forward, how do we actually foster the conversation to ensure that we are heard in terms of Black men, like that language that people are using, that we don't kind of like parrot that, and to actually express the things that are more accurate. Like, how do we make that stuff go viral? Like what I just quote, like, how do we make that go viral within our community? Does that make sense?
Yeah,
No, it makes perfect
sense.
sense. I believe that making that go viral is more along the lines of the overall work that needs to be done in terms of raising consciousness. I don't believe that people consciousness is there, but at the same time, I think that the issue has to be addressed though, right? So it's like we can't, even though on social media, you know, the language could be politically charged and it can potentially, you know, do what it does, because that's social media, that's where we at. But the question also got to be asked is like the same way, like for the sisters who have been the recipients of it, right? It's like the ones who have actually experienced it, that's trying to also find a voice. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I'm saying like it has to be a conversation, because the ones who have experienced it. So if you're going to read, a case in point, I remember reading Afeni Shakur, you know, this is from the 70s, reading Afeni Shakur, and she was talking about how excited she was to go to Oakland to meet the Oakland Black Panther Party, because she was in the New York branch Black Panther Party. She said she went to Oakland to meet the Black Panther Party, and you know, since they was out there, they stayed the night. And she said that one particular night she was asleep and she felt somebody getting in the bed. And when she woke up, she saw it was Harry P. Newton. These are her words. You can go read it. So I'm just quoting her right now. She said it was Harry P. Newton, and make no mistake about it, I think Harry was a bright brother. But she said it was Harry P. Newton. And when she woke up to stop him, you know what I'm saying? You know, he was like, you know, I'm Minister Fence. You know, and according to her, his thinking was he should have been allowed to get with her on the basis. And that's one book. So if you go and read Seize the Time, now this Bobby Seals writing. Bobby Seals writes about, you know, this behavior that was in the Black Panther Party. And he was one of the founders. He writes about it. So it's throughout the movement. And it's in, so that's why I said what I said. But at the end of the day, I'm not throwing a blanket on us, because I know excellent, strong, serious Black men. And I know what you're saying is accurate in terms of how men are in the home, real men. But we also have, you know, some other things that's happening that these real men gotta have the conversation and address it. Put it that way. Let's say that. So men such as yourself, such as me, we gotta be the ones that's gotta have the conversation and we gotta address it. So sisters don't feel like there's a buddy system, because we have to call it out. Because at times that's what's happening. Sisters are feeling like, oh, it's a buddy system. Men not checking men, right? When we clearly know, case in point, the movie Fences. If you go back and watch the movie Fences, it's in there. How, you know, Denzel Washington character was mistreating his wife, but his homeboy in the bar told me, say, man, your wife is my friend too. So either you gonna go tell her what you doing, I'm gonna go do it, right? And so it's like those type of conversations has to happen. But I agree. And because I agree, and because I'm a very self-corrective individual, and because I love us, and because I can read good energy going forward, when I make have this conversation, if I'm on social media, I'll make sure that I use a better language that's more suitable for social media.
Good. I appreciate that. Listen, I want to say this too as well. Shout out to you, man.
Love
Yo, I'm if it's okay with you, I'm gonna shoot you a DM, man. I'd love to support you, and even more of what you do. You know, I'm now more so I'm really like deep into Pan-Africanism. Like I'm working on citizenship in Rwanda. Like I'm doing some things to try to really connect us with what's going on the continent, because I think in the words of Malcolm X, the highest form of Black liberation is really Pan-Africanism. This is my perspective, at least. And I just want to support more brothers that's doing the work, that's doing a thing, that's making an effort. Dr. Ma already knows I support her to a great degree.
Absolutely.
I can't say enough. I can't say enough about Dr. Ma. I think she'd go. I think right now she's top of the list for me. You know what I'm saying? So,
Warrior, I appreciate your words, Warrior.
Have you read my book on Pan-Africanism?
I have not.
That's the book you need to read.
Bob, I'm gonna get 10 more from him and send it to you. I'm gonna send him one. I'm gonna grab 10 more from you. Remember, I kept telling you I need to get 10 more. Yes. I'm gonna get 10 more and send one to Brother Travis. And remember, I told you some of my young comrades, they want to read it. So I'll just grab an order of 10 from you, and then I'll send it to you. Brother Travis, I'll inbox you, and you just let me know where you want me to ship it to you, okay?
Absolutely. I appreciate you, Dr. Ma. Appreciate you, brother.
Appreciate you, Warrior.
I appreciate you. I'm looking forward to the DM, my brother, so we can connect.
I got you, brother. All right. Peace.
Appreciate you, Warrior. All right. This next, it's a young brother that's popping in. I think it's a young brother. I can't see you. How you doing, Warrior?
How you doing?
I'm doing good. Fine. You doing okay? If your mommy asking, how old are you? If your mommy asking, you look very young.
I'm 23.
23, young warrior, young warrior.
Uh,
So go ahead, young warrior.
mhm.
You have the floor, brother. Speak your mind. What are your thoughts about with some of Baba's ideas and statements?
Okay. For one, I would like to say that I'm the guy on Instagram, destined to underscore be great. I'm the one who I commented. I emphatically disagree with you, sir. Um, yeah, I'm not here to disrespect you or insult you, but I wanted to inform you that I was opposed to what you said. So I basically came to challenge some of your arguments or challenge some of your statements. You all hear me? You can hear me, right?
Yeah, brother,
Yes,
you have
sir.
the floor. You have the
You,
floor.
you hear me? You can hear me? Okay, I just want to make sure you can hear me clearly. Okay, so
Yes.
yeah, I would like to introduce myself. I'm Taj. It's my first time doing this ever. So let me first start saying this. I've never done this before. But I would like to ask you a question, sir. Right now, who do you believe is responsible for the demise of the destruction of the black community, excluding white people? Without mentioning white people, who do you believe is at fault for the destruction of the black community?
You say who do I believe are at fault? That's your question?
Yes, sir. Who do you believe is responsible for the current predicament that the black community is in,
White people.
excluding white people?
White people in all of their systems. You can't exclude white people. That's the problem. That's the mistake that we make. You can't. That's like me watching somebody walking with a limp, and then I ask them. Then I say, well, I'm not going to be able to judge this person in relation to the person that caused that limp. That's a mistake. We can never take the perpetrator that caused the conditions out of the analysis of the people that you call yourself trying to help. You can't do that. That's false. So we can't. I understand what you're trying to ask me, but make no mistake about it. Every single issue that we are contending with in the black community was created by this white man and all of his systems.
Can I respond to that, please?
Yes, you may.
Because I'm here to challenge some of the stuff you say. So for one, I don't 100%. I don't really disagree with you. I was kind of I wanted you to like kind of give me whether you was gonna say black men or black women. Had you
I
said
don't
black
believe that
men,
though. See,
okay,
that's the
okay.
catch.
So
So I don't. So that's the catch, right? So let me take an opportunity because I appreciate you coming on. I'm 55 years old. I've been doing this longer than you've been born. I've been doing it for 30 years. One of the mistakes that we tend to make is we don't listen to the whole thing. So I've never said that I believe black men is a problem because I don't believe that because I'm a black man. I don't believe black men is a problem. I don't believe black men, is doing anything inherently wrong as black men as a body of people. Right? I was speaking to a specific issue that I have observed for the last 25 years. So I wasn't speaking from nowhere. It was from observation. So what I said,
okay,
holds true.
okay. Can I respond to you, sir?
Yes, you
I
may.
have I have a multitude of things I would like to say and express. So let me get to that. Let me see. I'm sorry, I kind of lost my train of thought. Give me 1 second. For one, I am young. Well, please don't underestimate me because of my age. So let me first start by stating that. Also, um, I believe personally, black men should lead the community. I can only
See,
go based off of personal experience.
hold on for a second. Hold on for a second. I don't mean to cut you off, but listen, you're making arguments that I didn't even say. I didn't say black men shouldn't be in the lead of the community. I didn't say nothing like that. So your arguments is not to the points that I made. If you want to address the issues that I made, you can do that. But I'm not going to sit here and allow you to address me about things I didn't say. You can't do that. I'm not going to allow that. I've been doing this
Sir,
work too long for that. So address
okay,
what
can
I
I
said.
finish though? Can I finish though? I need you to allow me to finish, sir. So isn't the question, do black men have chauvinist and sexist tendencies, correct? Isn't that the question?
That's what I said. Yeah, some black men do. Some of
Okay,
them do.
so I need you to allow me to finish. You have to let me finish. Because I'm not being defensive. I don't want you to be defensive. I come in here to challenge some of the things you said because I'm opposition. I don't agree with some of the stuff you said. So I would like for you to allow me to finish again. Um, I want to give you an example. I believe men should lead. I don't believe. I think some men are sexist, and can display misogyny and sexist tendencies, but I don't believe all of them. Not all, and not most. I do believe they have the right to lead and dictate what goes on within their house. I don't believe all men are fit and suitable to do so, though. I believe all men don't have the traits, the qualities to do that. And I also like to define what leadership is as well, and what leadership is to me. I believe leadership is about evaluation, knowing your strengths, your weaknesses, what you're good at, and elevating those around you, yourself, and that could be your children and your wife as well. So I don't. That's what leadership is and what it means to me. I don't. I don't think. I think they should be allowed to lead. I don't think they should be considered um, sexist for doing that, sir.
Thank you. You actually made my you actually made the same argument that I made. So I appreciate that. Thank you.
John made the same argument as you.
Yeah, you did.
How so?
Because you agreed that you think that some men do have chauvinistic tendencies, and that's what I argued. I never said all men, because I'm a man. I don't have it. So everything you said is the argument that I was making.
Hmm.
So I appreciate you coming on here and making the same argument for me, and you made it to a younger
So
audience. I appreciate that.
can I ask you another question?
You can, yes, you may.
That, okay. My other question is, oh, goodness. Oh, goodness. Give me one second. I'm sorry. I'm losing my train of thought. Oh, there we go. I'm sorry. I also agree with the previous guy who was on here. I agree with him as well. About black men being egalitarian. About black men, you guys talk about things like practicing my eye and balance and things of that sort. That's another reason why I wanted to challenge some things that you said. Because black men aren't. They're usually fair. They're not typically sexist. They're not. They don't display that. I believe there's a smaller percentage and portion of men who do that than most. So I don't. That's one of the reasons why I want to challenge some of the things you said.
Thank you again for making my argument. I appreciate it.
So he
How
said
am I
basically.
making your art?
Go ahead, brother.
Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No,
I'm
no, go
sorry.
ahead,
Go
brother.
ahead.
I don't want to cut your wisdom. Go ahead, brother.
Okay. I was also going to ask him. Do you believe women should lead?
I believe the best person fit for the job. That's what I believe to answer your question. But if you want to know what I think, I believe that black men should be married. That's what I believe. We should be married. And I believe that you and your wife should work together in unison, in concert, as complementary units. That's what I believe.
Okay. Why do you believe in marriage?
You said, why do I believe in it?
Hmm.
I believe it for one, married people in all of my experiences in my 55 years being on the planet are some of the most disciplined people that I've come across. Now, let me put it in context, because you got the people that don't like marriage. They're gonna come in, oh, I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that. I'm speaking specifically to healthy marriages. When you encounter healthy people who are married, you oftentimes encounter real, responsible, and disciplined people. Marriage is a commitment. And when you stay true to that commitment, it builds character in the man and the woman. and it builds them differently than the average person who can come and go when they please, who have no responsibilities other than their personal needs and desires and wants. When you are committed to someone and you are beholden to that other person, it develops you and it evolves you in a different way than you developing and growing up by yourself. That's why I believe in marriage. I believe in organization. I believe in family. And building a family, I believe that one should be married to build the family. I don't believe that one should be single and just make children and say, that's my family, but you come and go when you please, because that's instability. Now, even though you may be able to provide financially, even though you may get your child every single weekend, you may get that child and do all the wonderful things in the sun with that child. But that part-time mother or that part-time father is insufficient when you really are rearing children, because two good parents on the job 24/7 is not enough to raise one child. So that's why I believe that you should be married, because it builds us. It allows us to build something. It allows us to build the fundamental institution necessary to build a nation, which is a family. And single people are not building solid, stable, strong, psychologically sound families. That's not happening. So that's why I believe in marriage.
And young brother,
Okay.
the last question, because Dr. Asal wanted to act, he posed a question in the chat. He said, young brother, where do your beliefs come from? He said, where do your beliefs
I
come from?
I was going to respond to that. I believe in the same thing everyone on the panel. I believe in committed religion. I don't believe in monotheistic religion or any of the Abrahamic religion. I don't believe in Christianity, Judaism, or Islam. I was once a Christian, but I began to question Christianity roughly around 2020. So I started. Well, from what I was never truly a believer in religion completely, because I was kind of always skeptical about it, like the doctrines, and I feel like there was a lot of basically fabrication and manipulation in the book, in the Bible. So I began to, like, the more I began to question the Bible, I want to do more extensive research. And I did my own personal research along with listening to some scholars that you are familiar with yourself. So yeah, I did my own personal research. I began to question things like the Council of Nicaea, Constantine, the Nicene Creed, uh, paganism, yeah, the origin of holidays. Uh, Basically, I kind of educated myself on the stuff. I know about the calendar being messed up, holidays, history, the map. Uh, yeah, basically everything messed up. Because
Young warrior.
yeah, so I kind of yeah, that's the answer to the question.
Okay. Well, I appreciate you, young warrior, for hopping on. I see brother Nate is in the building. Brother Nate, he said he saw the title and was like, oh, Lord, you know. And this brother, I'm going to give him a platform to speak his mind, because I think he disagrees with Baba as well. But it seems like you actually, a lot of the stuff you said were in alignment with what Baba said. But young warrior, I appreciate you hopping on. I do appreciate you hopping on.
Okay.
All right, man. Peace and love. Peace and love to you. There he is. There go Nate.
Yeah.
Nate starting trouble. Looks, Nate starting trouble in the chat. Talking about, Lord, Doc, I see your title. It's wrong already. Go ahead, Nate. Go ahead, brother Nate. Go ahead and speak your speech, brother. Go ahead. You got the floor.
All right. Hey, can y'all hear me first?
We hear you, warrior. Are you in the gym? Are you in the gym?
Yeah, I actually just got out the gym. I wanted to get my workout in. At the same time, I had to come on this.
Yeah. You know is it cold out there in Baltimore? It's about 30-something degrees out here.
Yeah. I'm in DMV. I'm in Fredericksburg. I'm in Stafford, Northern Virginia. So I'm like 2 hours from you.
So it's cold. Yeah, it's cold where you are.
Well, it's a little chilly. I'm only outside because, like, inside of my car, it's dark. I want y'all to be able to see me at least. You know what I'm saying?
Now, brother, I don't want you to catch no cold and then you online blaming me. Okay?
No. Hell no. I'm accountable. I'm accountable, man.
Okay.
Nah. As long as the background noise ain't too much, you know what I'm saying, then I'll just stay outside because at least you can see my face. So, but yeah, well, first of all, I want to thank you for, you know what I'm saying, giving me the platform, because I disagree, you know. So I appreciate you doing that. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, all opinions are welcome. I just, you know.
I appreciate you. Yes, cool. So first thing I want to challenge the brother is the whole chauvinistic term, right? So I guess the first thing I want to ask him is, what do you know, or when's the first actual documented term that it was actually used that you know of? In other words, like, for example, you know what chauvinism means, obviously, but when do you know for a fact, based off of facts, when it was first documented and actually was like used? Because obviously if it was used, it had to become from experiences, correct? So if that's the case, then you have to be able to tell me when it started first. That's my question to you first, brother.
You want me to tell you when the first person used the term chauvinism? That's what you're asking me?
Yeah, I'm asking. Yeah, like in other words, where did it originate from, or where did it derive from first and historically?
So I can give you this. What I would say to answer your first question. I can't tell you, and I wouldn't even commit myself to trying to figure out who the first person was who used it. I wouldn't do that. I don't see the relevancy in that. However, the concept, the idea, and the energy of chauvinism is a 100% European concept. It's a whole European idea. It's a whole European framework. It originated in Europe, that thinking, whereas man is above woman. So it's a European worldview. That's where it comes from.
Okay. So you know what? Maybe that's why you see it the way you do. Okay, so I understand. I kind of understand a little bit more now why you say what you say. So maybe I'm not, because I'm gonna be honest with you, bro. Like sometimes these things are triggers, because I'm gonna tell you something. Just as a black man, right? The two obvious things for me, the two biggest things for me that is triggers, is racism. And if racism is the biggest trigger for me, then obviously feminism will be. So I took it as like you were talking like a feminist, but now I kind of see what you're saying. But here's my thing though, right? Now, this might sound crazy to you. You can judge me however you want to on this, because no, I'll be honest, man. But I'm saying that because it might seem like I'm trying to give the white man a pass on this, but hear me out on this, right? I truly don't believe that the white man intended to systematically oppress his woman, if you think about it. Now, don't get me wrong. I do have some little bit of knowledge on the history of stuff like this. It's, in particular, and I heard some of the Israelites back this up, right? With some of the stuff that they was telling me about this, right? That the term wife beater did come from them originally, the white man beating on his wife, right? Now that's not to say that obviously other races don't do it, but that's where that term came from. So a lot of that abusive relationship stuff and why white women wanted to break out was due to that. That is true. But see, what do feminists do though? Feminists don't paint that picture of their own man. They always say men this, men that, men, and they never put the word white in front of it. And that's my biggest trigger. That's all. And so I think the problem is that I don't think that the term chauvinism is necessarily due to like white men hating their women or mistreating their women even to a certain extent. I think it's just the fact that they want to rebel. It's a devil's movement, and it's intended to divide the family, man. That's really what I believe. I really believe it. And so to answer your question, you said it's not relevant. I believe it is relevant, because if it wasn't relevant, you would go back to the ancient Kemet times of it being recorded and us doing that, right? But see, the thing is that the black woman, that's why I say the black woman never had that intention back in those times to defile her man in the way that the white woman does. But now what's happening now is that's what they do now. And so I always think that, like, if you want to bring out a rebellious spirit or a rebelliousness in some people, especially women, right? That seed that's to already be there. All you got to do is it's already there. But how you nurture it is through the indoctrination, right? And through the systems of feminism, right? So all chauvinism is just a white woman's term to say, I don't want to follow and lead my man. That's basically all I'm trying to say. That's really what I believe. But let me just say this one last thing though. I think that's the reason why though, because we have to all come to some type of conclusion, right? Or at least like a solution to this thing. Like, I believe that's the reason why we're the least married group out of everybody. You know what I'm saying? Because there has to be some order. And let me say this real quick. See, even the white man understood this. So the white men understood that his nature is why there have to be gender roles. Point blank and period. That's just how God designed it. It's biology. And so to me, all feminism is doing is trying to fit square pegs in round holes, man. You know what I'm saying? It's a big trigger for me. I think that like they have I honestly believe as a black man, a feminist is more of a threat to me than a racist. Real talk, because we are, and the first reason is look at black jobs. I just saw something now. They just said that over 500,000 black men have just gotten laid off between November 2025. Ironically, that's when I got laid off. Now, thank God I just got a job, but From November 2025 to February 2026, just this past month, within the last 5 months, or last 6 months, 500,000 black men have gotten laid off, man. So affirmative action benefits who? We all should know this by now, right? Affirmative action benefits who? White women. So there you see the correlation there.
I mean, even black men, even DEI.
Thank you.
Even DEI benefited.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you, doc. Thank you, doctor. That's what I'm saying. So that's why, you know what? That's why for real, like when you go and talk to black men, most black men were not tripping about DEI being canceled by Trump because they knew who it benefited. For real. So I mean, like so I think that the white men, I don't honestly believe this. And like I say, you can disagree with that. I'm fine with that. You know what I'm saying? But I truly don't believe, in my heart of hearts, that the white man intended to systematically oppress this woman through that gender role. I think that that's all biology, man. And I think that that's the way things are supposed to work. I think that that's it's biblical too. You know what I'm saying? And I understand that now, and so you also understand too that I'm like the last brother was talking. I don't subscribe to any kind of one religion. You know what I'm saying? I do believe in a spirituality. I do believe that if my hue and my melanin and my lineage is directed to the Creator, then I don't need a middleman. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I'm the first man that was here, man. You know what I'm saying? So I don't need that middleman. So and I say that because like if there was a need for a middleman, like as the religion tries to paint that picture of a need for a middleman because of that's why they changed the image of Jesus. You know what I'm saying? To get us to worship him and think we got to go through the Son to get to the Father and all that shit. Nah, you know what I'm saying? They knew better. They knew what they was doing with that. That's more indoctrination. You know what I'm saying? But that's all I'm saying, bro. I just don't think that, like, believe it or not, that the white man intended to do that. He intended to oppress us by using the feminist movement. And to your point earlier, you was talking about how like women have to step up when men aren't there. It's funny you say that, right? But look what happened because of that. Let's go back to the term chauvinist, and just so you know, that I was doing my homework. The chauvinistic term became about in the 1930s. Okay, so that was around the second wave feminism, around that time. So as you already know, the world wars sent a lot of white men overseas, and so that brought a lot of white women into the workforce. But what happened was, because they thought they could do our jobs, that was the green light to go against their man, and it just caused nothing but disorder, man, in the household, bro. Like it caused nothing but disorder in the household. And I'm gonna say this too: just because the white man abuses women like he did does not mean that's what we did. On a grand scale of things, on the scale that it would have to become that serious, where they would have to come up with a whole movement like they did. I don't subscribe to that. So all I'm saying to you, brother, is that I understand what you're saying a little bit from with that. Because at first I thought you was like a male feminist, but now I kind of see what you mean when you say it was more of a European term, and that's why you don't subscribe to it. But I still don't agree though. I still think there needs to be a leader for a relationship to flourish and to work. And one last thing, I'm gonna try my point home by saying one last thing, because I know I've been long with it, but I'm gonna say this one last thing. This is very important when I'm about to tell y'all about this whole thing. And this sums up a lot of stuff. It's gonna sound very one-sided what I'm about to say, but I gotta try to be honest. I'm sorry, I'm gonna be honest, right? Like, so I'm 43, you know what I'm saying? I just turned 43 a few months ago. And so at the time this movie came out, y'all probably remember it. It's called the Jungle Fever movie with Wesley Snipes, right?
Oh yeah.
I actually just saw that movie a few months ago, right? Chilling at the crib or whatever, right? So it's a very impactful movie, and I'm glad I saw it when I did, because at 91 I was like 8, so I couldn't see it back then. But now that I saw it again, I decided to watch it, right? And it's very interesting what happened in that movie, because there was a very small scene that was so powerful that nobody talks about, that gets overlooked, right? And that is the scene where his son was about to go see the girl, and he was in the bathroom. And before he left to go see her, his dad had to check her. He was like, "Hey, listen, son, I understand this girl's this, that, and the third. I understand how you feel about her, but check this out. When your mom was mad at me, she didn't speak to me for a whole week. She was cooking my dinner. She was preparing things for me. She was still doing her roles. She was still fulfilling her duties as far as roles as a wife. And what does that mean? That means she understood duty. And that's the problem with us. And I'd argue, and not to pick on us, that's the problem, period, with women. I'm not gonna single out black women. That's period. You know what I'm saying? But if we want to be better, we got to understand that problem first. Duty, meaning that you can't. It's people worry about happiness. You're not gonna be happy. That's the truth. You're not gonna be happy every day. There's gonna be times when years might pass. It's just that's how it is. Do you understand duty in marriage? And that was a powerful scene, brother. Powerful scene that gets overlooked too much. And there's a reason why it gets overlooked, because that's gonna go against what I'm talking about with the whole feminist stuff.
Oh, Bob,
come on, man.
I know you use the movie. Out of curiosity, are you married?
No, sir. No, sir.
Okay. I've been married for 20 years and 21 years in March. Consistently straight. I have 5 children and 5 grandchildren.
Congratulations.
So,
congratulations.
So I listened to you say what you say. And I'm glad you came on and shared your points of views. But your points didn't really, it wasn't to me though. Because like you said, you thought I was coming from a position I wasn't coming from. So I don't have anything to say in regard to what you said, because I believe you needed to get out of you what you got out of you. And I'm glad that we was able to provide a platform for you to get that off your chest. Right. So I don't have nothing to say in regard to what you said, because you didn't say anything against what I said. The only thing I would add, just something to think about, is when it comes to black men and how you were speaking about, the black men and, pretty much, how things don't always go in our favor, and you talk about racism. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about me so you can understand that with it. So I spent 13 years and 9 months in prison, and I was in about 7 different prisons. And in 13 years and 9 months, who I saw the most? I saw black men. So I already know that black men, get the bum end of the deal. I'm clear about that. I've been studying our issue as a people for 30-something years. I'm very clear about that. But what makes me different than most people is I strive to be an honest man. You know why I strive to be an honest man? Because I'm not worrying about what a person that's standing around me, what they think. I'm worrying about what the ancestors think about me and how I live my life. So when I see us making mistakes, clear mistakes, I have to call those mistakes out. And sometimes calling out mistakes isn't always the popular thing to do. So do I think all black men are bad? No, I don't think black men are bad, period, because I'm a black man. That wasn't my argument. That wasn't making an argument. So just so you can know, my argument was this. I don't believe because you're male, it automatically qualifies you to lead. I don't believe that, because I'm 55 years old and I've seen many males incapable of leading. Incapable. So maleness, biology, and anatomy cannot be the sole determining factor. That's the argument that I'm making. It can't be.
But okay. No, real quick. I didn't mean to cut you off. So that's what I think me and you differ though. So go ahead and explain that. Go ahead.
So I don't, like I say, I don't want us to go back and forth, because I'm just putting that out there for you. I believe you needed to vent. That's what I heard you venting, and I'm glad you was able to vent, to get out of you what you had to get out of you. I'm glad. That's what I believe what you doing. Because I do not believe you fully grasp my argument at all. To be honest, I don't.
And say that one more time. You said what now? Say that. You said I didn't what now?
I say I do not believe you fully grasp my arguments. I don't think so.
No.
I do think you needed to get something off your chest, and I'm glad you was able to do that.
Well, no. I mean, I would just. Well, see, here's the thing I want to tell you though about that, right? Like, so, see, the thing is, to me, I think that here's the thing. Well, first of all, I want to address a couple of comments. People were saying stuff like, using a movie reference as a source is where we have problems. I mean, what I said was facts. I mean, I could not say the movie. I could just say it without using the movie. It wouldn't matter. So that's the person in the chat that said that. I just want to say that real quick. But anyway, so to address what you're saying, I think that where I'm a little bit confused though. What you're saying though about that is, I think that you said that biology not being the source only. I mean, I don't agree with that, number one. But number two, if you really think it's that much of an issue, you only said some. So I think that for you to bring it up like that, I think that you have to really think that it's like, it's more of an issue than it's not an issue. And so if that's the case, and the world operates off of generalities, you see what I'm saying? If, you know what I mean? 60-40, 70-30, however you want to say it, split it. Or, like if you think that's how the world operates, then I believe that you probably believe the majority of us operate that way, and that's the problem. And I mean,
yeah. Once again, to have an informed conversation, we have to take everything in context. So I'm clear. I was clear about what I said. I don't think it's everybody, but it is a problem. It's like bullying. I don't think everybody is a bully. So if I said I'm against bullying, that doesn't mean I think everybody is a bully. But bullying does exist. So I'm addressing an issue. It's like this right here. I don't believe, you know what I'm saying, that Black children should be raised in families that doesn't have stability. I don't believe that. But am I saying that all families are unstable? No, I'm not saying that. I'm calling out an issue. So you have to hear the whole context. So
no, I understand.
That's the context. No. So the point that I'm making is this. If a Black man and a Black woman is together, because I think that we should work together. I think we should be healthy together. So if a Black man and a Black woman are together, and it so happened that the Black man that this woman is with, he don't make good decisions. He don't make good decisions. So why should she consistently defer to his decision making, and he's proven not to make good decisions?
No, I understand. Well, to your point, but see, that's what I'm saying though. It goes without saying that man would not be, you know, the type of man to be able to
that's the argument
to lead it. He would, but here's the problem though. You got to understand it works two ways though, brother. It works two ways. Like I agree with you. You're correct. You are correct. But I want to get to a different point. You are correct what you're saying. 110%. You're right about that. But don't forget the woman chooses too. At the same time, the woman has to choose too. So it's ultimately if the woman chooses a man that doesn't make good decisions, that's a woman who wants to lead a man. So that don't make her right. You see what I'm saying?
That's not necessarily correct. But that's not necessarily.
Well, how is that not correct? But how is that not correct though?
I'm gonna tell you why.
How is that not correct?
It's not necessarily correct. But I do understand, like you said early on, the conversations is triggering to you because you feel like the man should be dominating over the woman. So this is a triggering conversation for you. You're not trying to really see the full picture. You're just trying to argue the position that the man should be the dominant person. And when you have that type of dialogue that's going on, it can't get to no resolution. So that's why I said early on that, you know, you came on, you vented, and I'm okay with you venting, and, you know, you got it out. No, that's a good thing.
No, brother. I mean, I think I kind of challenged more what you were saying because here's the thing, like, you kind of, because you got to be honest though, you got to be accountable a little bit on this one because the last brother said something, and I was listening into the last brother that was on, a young brother that was spitting a little bit of fire. You know what I'm saying? He did say something that was a good question, and I have to pose it to you again. But hopefully, I ask you respectfully as an elder. You know what I'm saying, because you're older than me, you got me married. I respect you. You know what I'm saying for that. So, but I'm asking you, like, you know, because you got to answer it because I don't think it was really answered. Like, the question he said, but without mentioning white people, why are we the least married out of all groups, and the Black women in particular? Because the statistics show Black men might be slightly more married, but it's still the woman is, you know, the least married. But overall, just as a Black community, without mentioning them, like, why would you say the issue is why we are not?
And once again, I'm gonna answer you the way I answered him.
Come on, man.
Listen for a second. It's a flaw. It's a flaw to ever try to analyze and assess the conditions of Black people and leave out the perpetrators who created the conditions. That's a flaw. So I will never sit up here and try to make that argument. Every single condition in the Black community is linked to what we've been through and what we have been enduring by the hands of white people in this system. Now, let me qualify that. That doesn't mean that we don't have responsibilities to get things right. It does mean we got responsibilities. That's why I do what I do. But I know that all the work that I do, raising Black children, building institutions, building businesses, working with Black men, working with husbands, working with relationships, that's the work that we got to do. But I can never do that work outside the context of the perpetrators who put us in the conditions. I will never do it. It's a flaw. And we make that mistake too much when we don't fully understand what we are dealing with. When we don't have a thorough enough understanding about the situation that we are in as a people, we begin to infight. And that's what's happening. And that's why my statement is so triggering, because we want to infight. The Black man, not all of them, but the ones who want to argue this position want to argue against Black women. Simple as that.
Well, see, brother, here's the problem I had. No, go ahead, finish. Go ahead. I ain't gonna cut you off.
So we can't answer the question and say, well, the white man out the equation, because before the white man intervened in our lives, we wasn't in these situations. Before his intervention, we wasn't in these conditions like this. These conditions is a direct result of his intervention, his interruption, his disruption. And not only him, and also the Arabs' intervention, interruption, and disruption. Those forces are the ones that culturally derailed us as a people. And when people are culturally derailed, they struggle with their identity. And when people struggle with their identity, they struggle with what they should be doing in relation to one another in a social context. When the culture is attacked, when the culture is suppressed, then those self-sustaining institutions that allow people to thrive become weakened and undermined. Marriage, family, brotherhood, sisterhood, eldership, all those institutions begin to fragment when the culture is derailed. So that's why we where we at.
Oh, okay, brother, let me say this. I gotta say two things to what you just said. I got two rebuttals to what you said, brother. So the first rebuttal I got to what you said is, okay, you said something about we can't ignore the conditions that put us here. But see, you didn't use that argument when you was talking about why a man from a biology shouldn't be a leader because you used the jail argument. You didn't. How come you didn't use that argument for the men in jail? See, you see what I'm saying? I mean,
you're missing my point. So I was using an argument to help you to understand that I know that black men are being targeted. So I thought I was helping you to get that. I wasn't using that as an argument to make my position. I was more so coming back from what you said. And I wanted to let you know that I'm uniquely clear about the attacks on the black man. That's what I was doing in that instance.
Right. But I mean, so I'm gonna go back to what I've been seeing some come in the comments, some of the comments that's been coming down. People have been kind of say that, like, kind of similar to what you were saying about the whole black man leading thing, right? Like, so because I mean that's what it seems like. That's what you hear most black women say is that we're not leading, right? And I think that they're saying that really for one, just being unaccountable for. I really think it's just being unaccountable for not necessarily wanting to be submissive to the right man. Really, that's really what I think it is. But because people always say that and they leave it as a blanket statement and they never go into depth about it. What I will say is this, right? Because I know the black women gonna think that this is a direct attack. But if leadership, because for them to be saying that and the man is supposed to lead, it kind of makes me scratch my head a lot. So what I'll say about that is this. I'm gonna piggyback off of that. So to me, what black leadership looks like is obviously being man, being a masculine, but really what it looks like is trying to strive from being independent of the system first. So what does that mean? That means black brothers should be picking up trades, starting businesses, and supporting each other and hiring each other, and you know what I'm saying, and bankrupting a lot of these major corporations. That's if that's what they mean by black leadership, then by all means, yes. You know what I'm saying? But go back to your point though. There's no black man that's a Rockefeller. There's no black man that's a Rothschild. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, bills got to get paid. You know what I'm saying? So, but from that aspect, I will say that because I will see that, when a sister has a business, please believe sisters support that. I can tell you that just knowing as a man, just off of my own experience. You know what I'm saying? So that aspect, that's the only way I can condone this whole thing about the black leadership. Other than that, all this doing is a bunch of deflecting and blaming and not being accountable. And being accountable in our community, being accountable is going to solve damn near pretty much everything. If you think about it, I mean, from all aspects, you know what I'm saying, on all ends, you know what I'm saying? So, I mean, a black man would tell you, I can tell you, I've had all my boys tell me, plenty of people who I've came across that's told me they messed up relationships left and right. They weren't ready for it, or they messed around and stepped out. But how many women are accountable for their part? That's the big thing. And that kind of goes back to what you were saying about that's why I got confused about your point. You know what I'm saying, a little bit. So about the whole going back to the whole jail point you were saying. Like, that's why I got kind of confused about that. So yeah.
Hold up, Brother Nate, I think one of the warriors, Baba Tameen, he was in the chat he was typing away. And I think he wanted to say something to you. So I wanted to let him up, and then there's a queen in the back. It's a queen. She's in the back, and Dr. Dennis Assar is in the back. Okay. But I think Baba Tamim wanted to. He was typing it. I think he just couldn't help it. He just clicked the link. Baba Tamim, Hotep to you, warrior. How are you?
Hotep, Doc. Hotep. One blood, Baba. It's yeah. You right, Doc. I was sitting in the back. I was listening to the young brother. I was listening to this brother, and I was just like, yeah, you're right. I did. I just couldn't take it no more. I just had to hit that link because first I love the inquiry. I love the energy, and as long as our minds are open to trying to find some conclusions, some answers, and to be able to develop ourselves, then absolutely, this conversation would be totally worth it. But if we're not, and it's only a platform of just having that debate and the dialogue, that might be a separate time to have that separate conversation. And then you got to invite me to have that conversation, because I can do that all day. I can do it all day. But I did just want to hop in and to affirm one of the central point that was laid down, which essentially was that there are times where, and here's the thing, Bible said there are times when a man may make a good decision, the man may not make a good decision. And an aspect to that is, case in point with me and my wife, there are times when I do not make a good decision, and I know she would be better to make that decision. Ergo, she got that call. She gonna make that call. Case in point, decorating the house, doing things in the house, right? I have no real interest in the interior design stuff at all. So when it comes to the design and the flow and the structure of the house and how things look, she got that all day, every day. And you know what? My job, for the most part, I might look at some colors. I might want a different little color thing, but for the most, she got it. And if she got it, then you know what I mean? You toss that money up, support that decision, you help around the house to make it happen. And that's what it is. So there are times when, as a married man, there are times when there are times when you could lead, and there are times when you fall back and you allow that woman to lead. And I think that is very important that we know that as men, because historically speaking, as a people, as Black men, that's who we are. That's what we have demonstrated. And there is no way that when you look at any point in time in African history and Black history, you will always see Black man, Black woman. Oftentimes they'll support each other. Some will take points, some will play the backfield, and we always have this dynamic. So anything other than having that very complementary dynamic, it's an assassination to who we are as a people. And that's the adoption of somebody else's lifestyle, somebody else's way of thinking, somebody else's way of being. All of this misogyny, man, all of this comes from, as mentioned earlier, them Europeans and them Arabs. It don't exist for us. Just don't.
And go grab my Bible's book, African Manhood in the 21st Century. Because he going to talk about the duties of a Black man and the duty of a husband. Yeah, go check that out. Check that book out by Baba Fatiu.
And no, the amazing thing. I usually drive, but today I was able to hop on because I'm in the passenger seat today. You know what I mean? I ain't got to take the road. I ain't got to take the lead.
I can dig it. Hey, brother Nate, I'll send that book to you if you DM me. I think you came across me on IG. Is that correct, brother?
Yeah. I came across you on IG.
If you DM me, brother, I'll get the book to you. No problem. Okay. I get it to you. Okay, warrior.
Yeah, I feel you. Hey, listen, my stance still stays the same, though. I mean, I believe that there has to be a leader.
That's cool.
There has to be a leader in the household. I mean,
but you think the leader should always, and I'm being intentional. You think the leader should always be the man? Is that what you're saying?
But see,
okay, you don't want to answer my question. Okay.
No. I'm gonna answer. Like, right. I think what y'all try to do is because look, because to answer your question though, like to answer your question, like I think what y'all do is y'all still pick and choose like times without. I'm not. No. Let me finish. What I mean is that like you pick it like the example the brother used earlier. I'm not sure what's your name, brother. This came on. What's your name?
Baba Tamim.
Tamim, yes, sir.
Yeah. The whole curtain example. I mean, come on now, bro. Like, are we serious? I mean, that's not an example of a man. You really think that a man ruling a house is going to say, no, don't put those curtains up. I want these done this way. No, we're not talking about stuff like that, man. We're talking about like,
we didn't talk about the curtain. You missed my point. You tried to reduce my point. What I said was if there was anything in terms of the house, but I can go on beyond the house. I can go on with how the children should be educated, and I can even say that my role in how I interact with my daughters, she helps to very much influence that. So I listen. So don't ever reduce the point. The first point that I was making was when it comes to the house, meaning that my living space and her living space and our comfort zones is determined by her. So I made that one small point, but if I needed to elaborate onto other points, I most definitely can. And she most definitely, it's a matter of trust. And I think that goes back to what Baba was talking about when he said that married men know that there's an aspect of development which comes as a result of being married. I can say how long we been married?
Almost, 3 years.
So 3 years. So I've been in this thing for 3 years, and I can say most definitely, I know that I have developed. I know that I have grown. I know I have improved a lot just because of me being in this situation, having the headaches, going through a resolution, trying to figure things out, still staying up in the mix. It's just something different that goes to it. It's like trying to do a push-up competition and you ain't never do any push-ups, but the dude over here has been doing 100 push-ups every day. That's what marriage is like. Marriage is like doing 100 push-ups every day. Every day, regardless of how you feel, you still got to wake up and be married and do this marriage thing. That's 100 push-ups. And anybody who ain't doing that 100 push-ups, you can't step. You can't step. You're going to get squashed.
I think the key point to take away from what the brothers is saying, young warrior, is the idea that who is best skilled to do the particular task or job. And that skill is not based on gender. It's based on who is best suited the job. So whether it is housekeeping to managing the finances, one of the things that I've been an educator for 20 years. However, the temperament of my children, they best learn from their father. So to keep peace and harmony, it doesn't take anything away from the 20 years I put in educating Black children in Baltimore, that my husband will take the lead on the education with our children. That is the crux of what we're talking about as far as duty, roles, and responsibilities. It has nothing to do with this Eurocentric mindset of anything that they kicking out about what a man and a woman should be doing based on their set of gender roles. That's not African. That's not our way. So if you don't get anything out of the conversation, I want you to understand that.
We just got our own way. Culture. Black people, we got our way. The Arabs got their way. Europeans got their way. Asians got their way.
Look, hold on, y'all. Look, it's a queen. This is the last person other than Dr.
Let me hop on. Go ahead, guys.
All right, but appreciate you all. Appreciate you all. Look, it's a queen wants you. Hold on. She wants you. It's a queen wants you. It's a queen wants you, man. And Baba, if you want to hop off, that's cool. Cause I'm gonna keep on rolling, Bob. This is the last one though. This sister been waiting. She been waiting her turn. So this is the last one. Dr. Saul wanted to join us and close out with us. But it's a queen is the last person. And she said, I want him to be on when I say what I need to say. Queen, you've been so patient. You have the floor. Go ahead and rock out. You got it.
I appreciate you so much, and I thank you for letting me be on the panel. Peace to everyone. And just because I said I wanted you here doesn't mean I'm coming to attack you. No. I just need you to be here to hear what I have to say, right?
Ashe.
For the brother that has been so eloquently speaking tonight, I applaud you. I loved everything that you had to say because it is a part of history that we like to sweep under the rug, right? The dynamics between the Black men and the Black women during these civil rights movements, it isn't just flowers and roses, right? Because if that was the case, Ida B. Wells would have stayed with the NAACP. She
Teach.
left.
Teach.
So this idea that there's never been conflict between us is the fairy tale. And to be able to really step into what these conflicts that I can't even call them our ancestors, our grandparents, right? Because they're only but the 30s, right? Our grandparents were dealing with, to not repeat the same problem that the Black Panthers saw, right? We need to have these hard conversations about the dynamics of our people. And to be very clear, a lot of, I believe in out of Africa, I believe that all life began in Africa. And when you look at what the earliest hunter-gatherers were doing, they were egalitarian. It was based on merit. It was authority based on what you can do. And I believe that's what the sister, the beautiful wife that was just up here speaking to, figuring out what your skill set is and how to apply that to your family and your community. That's what we need to be doing. Setting roles based on gender before a person is even born doesn't even make sense. There's nothing in my biology that tells you that I'm a good cook. Nothing. There's nothing in my biology that tells you that I know interior design. Nothing. It's all of those are skill sets that you learn, right? And as Black people in 2026, where 2 incomes need to be in a household, both parents need to know how to cook. Both parents need to know how to clean. Both parents need to know how to educate their children. If we really want to be on top of them and keep the racism and the school to warehouse pipeline at bay, right? Because it's not just the school to prison pipeline. It's also a school to regular remedial jobs, right? So we have to be hyper vigilant, and the only way we can do that is to have an understanding with each other. This is coming from a Black feminist, a womanist. I don't want to conquer you, brother. It ain't got nothing to do with that. It got everything to do with, at the same time that Black men was losing them jobs at DEI, Black women lost 300,000 jobs because of the loss of DEI. We both broke.
Yeah, honest. Hold on.
Let her keep building, Nate. Let her keep building, brother Nate. Keep going.
Right. Yeah, I got a lot to say. I got a lot to say about that. All right, go ahead.
Turn around punching at me, and somebody done took all our jobs that don't look like neither one of us. So I think that once we put aside this, and I'm sorry to say it, it is very chauvinistic, because your rulership over me is not biological. Your rulership in the household is not biological. It's a story that we made up. That's why I keep on going back to the Bible. It's a story. It's not based on merit. And I just really wanted you to.
Okay, well, listen. So the whole problem with your argument is, you mentioned a good point when you said something about like your biology having nothing to do with cooking, right? So my thing is this: at some point or another, biology has to take over. Like, for example, like, and you can almost see it more when you talk about what the male role is. For example, if you're laying with, you and your wife, kids, y'all laying in there, and you're at the house, you sleep, but you hear a noise or something like that. You think somebody's breaking in. If you're not gonna sit here and tell me, anybody on God's green earth will sit here and tell me that if a woman was a former Marine that was shot a 300 score, that she gonna get up there and sacrifice herself over the man doing that. That's absolutely crazy. That's absolutely wild. So and now hear me out again, and because that's why I say stuff like taking that the trash out, cutting grass, doing physical labor things. There's a reason for that. There's a reason for that, man. I mean, that's how it really goes back to God. It has nothing to do with religion or the Bible or anything like that. It's how God designed us. So what I'm basically telling you is that. Hold on, real quick.
It had nothing to do with religion and to mention God. But go ahead, brother. I'm listening to you. Go ahead.
No. Well, religion is man-made, though. Religion is man-made. You got it. That's what I'm saying.
The whole
God is more.
the whole concept of God is, but that's a whole nother. You come back, brother. I like to do this. You can come back on.
Yeah,
we can have a
okay.
whole nother conversation. But you can't separate God from religion because God is a concept that was birthed from religion. But go ahead.
Okay. Well, anyway, I'm not gonna go in that tangent, but let me just say this. Like, but my thing is this, right? When you eliminate roles based off of gender, how do you complement each other? I truly believe that and whatever you want to call it, you want to call them God, a concept, whatever the case may be. At the end of the day, we're still here and we're still opposite sexes.
And it's him. You said him. It couldn't be it. Could it be it? Because God is really a neuter. It's really a neuter now. Could it be it?
That's I don't want to get to the semantics of it, but my point, I'm just going on off of the fact of the male sex and the female sex.
Okay.
Can we agree that we are meant to complement each other? Yes or no?
Absolutely.
Okay, there you go. So how do you know that? If you can agree that we are made to complement each other, how do you know that? You say you agree with that. How do you know you agree that we're made to complement each other? How do you know?
The idea that we're made to complement each other, right? Because a lot of it is based on our evolutionary survival, right? I can't have babies without you. A lot of our early history was about collaboration. A lot of our history now is about collaboration. Like, do we really think like government systems is something that you can touch, or it's something that people sat around, came up with rules, and implemented on everybody else? All of these things, right, that we're talking about is actually human man-made, right? So when you ask me about roles, I already recognize that the roles that you're talking about were also man-made. But yes, there are some spaces where it can be based on biology. Biologically speaking, if we were to have a baby together, I would have to sit down because I got to birth the baby. I got to have a couple of months afterwards to nurse the baby. Does that now mean that I'm somehow incapable of navigation? Can I not do math now? Can I not read? No, it doesn't mean all of that. But
hold on.
Add all.
No, hold on.
Adding.
Hold on one sec. Hold on one sec, Queen. Bob Imhotep, because he hopped off, guys, because he had a whole. He hopped on late because he was doing something with the family, and I know I've been holding him for almost 2 hours. So Baba, I got one of your warriors. He back here, Baba Adisa back here. So I'm like, if you gotta go, Baba, I understand, because it seemed like it's gonna continue.
Hey,
so I'm like, Baba, hold on, brother Nate. So Baba, how do you feel? Because I know Baba Adisa. I know he one of your warriors. So are you okay?
I'm okay. Yes.
Okay. Just want to make sure. I know I held you for about 2 hours. Go ahead, Queen. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt your thought.
Like, if you still need me through the 11, I do doubles.
Let me mute it out. The sister at work. So hold on, sis. Go ahead and handle that. Baba Adisa, you wanted to hop on. What's going on, Baba? What's your thoughts?
My thing is that we have to understand the necessary actions of Black people. Like, Black men and Black women do what is necessary for the advancement of not only self, but community and the nation, right? And I think he's missing that. If you look at history, right, there's so many people in our history, men and women, right, that have stepped into so many different roles, right, that you can't even use that logic to express or explain, because what you do is you limit our power by doing that. And that's the issue. When we're talking about really growing as a people, like, we have to understand what is necessary of the Black woman and what is necessary of the Black man. There's times where, as though, that if I'm not around, my wife is going to be able to take the charge and take the lead. She's going to make sure the children are safe. You know, when I'm there, I'm gonna make sure they're safe. There's times, where I gotta console in her to be able to get strength and balance, because she brings that type of balance into my life. And there's times where she has to console in me, and I give her balance, because I add that balance to her life, right? When we base our socialization, from a Western perspective, we've already canceled out our heritage. We've already canceled out our upliftment. We've already canceled out our deliverance into the future, right? We live in a society where we're conquered culturally, educationally by them. And every time that we try to stand into who we are as a people, history has shown, that they have found ways to dismantle it. When you look at people in our history, Harriet Tubman, You know, what she did and how she stood up. You know, if she wouldn't have did that fight, brother, you wouldn't even be here in this capacity. You know what I'm saying? Many of us wouldn't, right? But she's took a role, I mean, that was necessary. We're doing what is necessary. It is necessary for my wife to have respect and have a voice in this household. It's necessary for my son to see his mother as powerful as possible inside of this household, right? So that he looks for that type of woman, but also understands what kind of man that he needs to be towards that woman. Because everything is about how we socialize. What are we socialized under? You know, we put ourselves in these positions because a lot of us are hurt. We look at black women, I mean, from a disrespectful standpoint because we've been hurt, because we didn't get the right example of a mother. We didn't get the right example of women in our lives. We didn't have the best socialization or interaction, I mean, in relationships. We've been hurt. We've been lied to, been manipulated. We allow social media to project images of women just being physical objects. We lose all of these things play a part in how it taints our minds. You know, so when I look at the future generation, when I look at my son and I look at my daughter, my wife one time, right? I pulled up and helped her with something with the car. And when I gave her a kiss on the forehead, boom, and I left, she told me she had whispered, like, I love my husband. And my daughter was like, I want a husband like that. And but that's showing, I mean, the respect that I have for my wife. My wife a warrior. I always feel secure when she on my back. You feel what I'm saying? At the end of the day, you know? So my question is, I mean, if you don't want that type of relationship, then you don't want to grow. The black man can't grow by holding his wife back or putting her at a position beneath him. A black man grows when he shows an equal understanding, respect, and responsibility, I mean, in the household, whereas though he allows her to thrive and grow. Bob Imhotep talks about switching gears. There is times where you got to be able to switch gears, pull back, allow her to be able to take lead, and vice versa, in order for this dynamic to work. It won't work without that, you know? So you got to check your reference. Like me, I always look at myself. Am I coming from ego and pride? You know, is what I'm saying coming from a place of my ego and my pride that I feel as though as a man that I gotta put on this type of bravado, that I gotta be this type of chauvinistic, that I gotta be this type, this makes me powerful by stepping on the one person, I mean, that I give my everything to? That makes me powerful? You know? Then you have no other closer relationship, I mean, with the woman you lay down with. You lay your head next to her, right, in sleep, knowing that she got your best interest, knowing that you're safe. So why not put y'all both in the same position of power? And that power changes back and forth. That's the African-centered way, right? We have to check that logic. And one thing I don't use is, I don't use no type of European-based logic or thought. Everything has to be African-centered. Everything has to be black thought. Because there's nothing more powerful or radiant than the black thought. You know, but when we include them in our conversations, in our knowledge, we allow them to conquer us and divide us. I recognize who they are. They are the enemies of our past, our present, and our future, if we allow it. Honor your queen. Honor your wife. And I don't know if you have a wife or not, my brother, but if you do, man, build that woman. Love that woman. Allow her to have a voice. Allow her to grow with you. Allow her to have that esteem and that greatness. Allow her to be able, I mean, to be that empowerment that motivates you to become more empowered. But if you don't have a wife right now, then you need to do some things so you can be able to make that happen, my brother. Because a black man needs a woman to be able to build a family in order for him to build a nation.
Hey, listen, man. I mean, hey, listen. That's your stance. I understand your stance. You know what I'm saying? I understand your stance. Let me say this though, like you can say European centric point of view, but I'm gonna say this though. I'm gonna say this to you, right? To kind of give you drive my point home more about how about where I'm coming from with this, as far as a male being a leader or a male really being the final decision maker. I'm gonna give you an example. What I'm about to tell y'all, know y'all don't know me from a can of paint, but I got no reason to lie to y'all, right? So this is a perfect example. Right hand of God, this happened. So some years ago, right, I'm out here in the DMV. You know, we back in the day before the cell phones, before social media. Me and my brother went to go hoop that right down the street from where we lived at. Long story short, before we left, my stepmother said, "I got a bad feeling about y'all going." We had no idea what she was talking about. No idea. She was like, "What are you talking about? Like, you just saying that you have nothing." No idea. I mean, like, she had no reason, no explanation. All she said was just like she had a bad feeling for us going there, right? Kind of find out we go there, and you know, we playing for a little bit, and I do like a little pump fake, and my brother tried to block my shot. And as he comes down, breaks his arm. Now that's spiritual. So to your point about what you're saying, yes, you are right. You are right. But see, here's the point though. Here's the problem. Now I love my father to death. So I'm not gonna blame him for this. But at the same time, my point is this: as far as leadership, she said what she said, and that obviously had to been y'all say God is a concept, whatever the case may be. It had to be something, it had to be a greater power. I believe that. Because I mean, it was basically prophetic, right? As we see. So, but the thing is, who was the final decision maker? Because it would have been on our dad to say, listen, we're not going to go, because he's a physical presence and the final decision maker. That's where leadership comes in at. That's where male leadership comes in at. Because and really, I understand the concept of it, because like that's why a male has that. It's almost relevant to his physical body, if that makes sense. You know what I'm saying? Because obviously a man has a greater chance to stop, especially boys, to stop them from literally doing that than a woman does. And not to say I would never in a million years ever raise my hand to a mother or a stepmother, of course. But the point I'm making is to understand why I say what I say about leadership. When a male comes in there, it's different, man. When Pop's there, yo, bro, I told you I ain't going nowhere. And when that male steps up in front of you, you're not finna challenge your father, man, physically. You see what I'm saying? So that's where the final decision comes in as far as leadership. And that's my point that I want to make. So to piggyback off what you said. So, but yeah, listen, man. Story, yeah.
Represented why the woman should have made the final decision, because your brother's arm would have been broke. So,
say that again?
But I said in your example, you said that the woman said, "I don't think this is a good idea," and the man said, "No, go ahead, go do you." And then somebody's arm was broken. So in that scenario, wouldn't we just say that it would have been?
Hold on. I gotta cut you off. I gotta cut you off real quick. Hold on, real quick. That's not what happened. No, that's not what happened. That's not what happened. All she said was she had a bad feeling. We didn't understand it, but that could have been her way of telling us not to go. But we still went anyway. But what I'm telling you is that if the man had said, or if the man of the house had said, my dad, whoever, or the man of the house basically be the final decision maker, saying, well, that's what she feels. This is what y'all's logic is, right? Y'all's logic is, well, he said to go ahead and go, or because he didn't say nothing, then it was like he allowed that. You see what I'm saying? But if he would have said, "Hey, don't go, we don't go," that based off of what she said, that's fine. But the point is, there had to be a final decision maker. That's what I'm saying. So he didn't say, "Oh, go ahead and go." He didn't say anything. He didn't say anything. We're grown men. We're grown adults at the time it happened.
What you're saying is that the woman told you, "Hey, that's not a good idea. Maybe that's not a good idea," basically, right? And in that way, that was her way of telling you not to go. But because a man didn't tell you, your brother ended up getting his arm broke. Like, that's literally my point that I'm making, that the gender stopped you from listening to good advice because of what's between their legs. And I feel like that wouldn't be smart. And I keep on bringing it back to like earlier times, because we have been brainwashed by this Bible, and I love that the brother brought up the Arabs, because we kind of let them slide for their enslavement as well, even though they were also bringing Abraham's, lineage towards us. We have been brainwashed by that for a very long time. Mesopotamian ideologies of women being property, women not being their own selves. This is long before even racism like that. Like, we've been on this kick of women's empowerment isn't necessary. This isn't new. So I get that it will take a little bit extra for you to really understand what I'm talking about. But if you look at the early human civilizations, they're not living the way you're talking. They're living egalitarianly. They're living harmoniously with the earth, with the animals, and with man and woman, with each other. Authority was based on if you could wield it, if you were good at whatever the thing that you were doing. So if you were good at
Competent,
navigation,
competent, proficiency.
you would be, if you
Competent.
were good at navigation, you would be in charge of that. If I know where all the watering holes, why would I put a man in charge that doesn't? That makes no sense, right? So we got to put it into perspective and get out of our own egos of how we want to see our significant others. And to be very clear, how you want to find your girl, your wife, whoever it is on you. How you want to raise your household is on you, right? Because there are women out there who absolutely agree with submitting to their man and having their man be the head of household. And there's nothing wrong with that. But when you bring it into the community, that's where it becomes a feminist issue, right? When you are taking how you feel about your
That's
wife
crazy, man.
into and then you're stopping women from leading because you feel that they are not capable, that's when it becomes a feminist issue. That's when it becomes, oh, this guy's
Yeah.
being chauvinist.
The queen didn't trigger him.
Oh,
As soon as he heard that word, you didn't trigger him, queen. You said it becomes
Yeah,
a feminist issue. He started going.
yeah,
He said, "Oh, you didn't got him
yeah.
triggered now. He didn't got triggered now. You
Yeah,
said the word.
well,
You said the
well,
word."
hey, doctor, real quick. I respect you. I respect that. Real quick, I want to say this though. It's funny you say that because, like,
let
but
me
you was
finish
going
my
on for a while. You was going for a while.
okay.
Because I
So
still want to
then,
attack your point because my example, I didn't get a chance to play. I wanted to respond to what you said about my example because what you did was you put a feminist view on me about between the legs about that decision thing, but that's not correct, and that wasn't correct at all. So, but I'll let you finish your point.
thank you. So the point that I'm making is that people have a gross misunderstanding about what feminism is. Feminism is not trying to run your life. Feminism is not trying to conquer you. Feminism is telling you that in spaces where it's community spaces, women deserve space in those spaces. That's all feminism is. I feel like you have more of a problem with what women choose with their rights that they have, right? Yeah, women have the right to divorce y'all. Now women are divorcing men left and right, right? You're mad at the divorce. You're not mad at the right. Because I highly, highly doubt that you wouldn't want the women to have a right to vote. You wouldn't want women, you want women to be able to go to school. Like you want these things for us, right?
Some things, no, real talk, some because it's funny you brought up voting.
Wow.
But
Hold on. Wait
no,
a
hold on,
minute, Nate.
no, hold on,
You want
hold on,
us?
hold on,
Hold on,
hold on,
Nate.
hold on, hold on, hold on.
Make sure I'm hearing you clear, brother. You want us to get? You want some of our rights to be revoked, brother, because of our gender?
Well, hold on. You got to make me. See, you already triggered. First of all, let me go back.
Asking a question.
No, all right, hold on. Listen. Before I say that, real quick, let me go back to my point because I wanted to rebuttal her point about the whole thing about what she said because I don't. This is where that feminist stuff comes in there about what she said about that whole accusation with my mother thing. About that whole thing. Two things could have happened in that situation as well. She said what she said, and it's very hard to understand that because when you're not in the actual moment, everybody's sitting there looking baffled. That's number one. Number two, that situation has not occurred, and they've been going on 20 years now. They've been together. This year, they celebrate 20 years of marriage, blissfully, by the way. So I've been raised, you know what I'm saying, seeing this. Even though I don't have one now, I've seen the example. So my standards are very high. That's number one. But anyway, so the whole thing is, she said that's how she felt. But she could have also said, you can't go. And if we say to her, no, we're gonna go anyway, guess what my dad says? No, y'all not gonna go. The final decision maker, to my point again. Or even if she didn't say not to go, just off of my father by him saying, oh, off of her feeling of that, I don't want y'all to go, and we wouldn't have went. So at the end of the day, the point is I'm making is there has to be there's a final decision maker. There's a final decision maker. That's all I'm saying with that.
And it should always be the man. It's a final decision maker. And according to you, it should always be the man. Correct, brother?
Yes, right. But I don't want to go too much of a tangent on why, because that'll get us off topic.
And
hold on,
right. But you just admitted it. I appreciate your honesty. It should be it should be a decision maker, and the final decision maker should always be the man. Hold on. And you believe that some rights that women have should be revoked. Brother, tell me what rights. Tell me some of the rights you think that women should be snatched away from women. Do you think we should go back to a time period where women could not qualify for mortgages? Let's start there. Do you?
No, absolutely not. No.
Well, what about when women had to ask their husbands for permission to go to the doctors? You think we need to go back to that?
No, of course not.
Okay. What about when women could not work in certain job industries? Do you think like can't be an engineer? That's for men. That's men's work. Can't be an engineer. Can't be an architect.
Here's the thing. Your need to be equal or egalitarian is really hurtful, to be honest with you. It really is. I'm just asking. Yeah, no. Hold on. Just hear me out. Because in that example in particular is very hurtful and it's very accusatory, because what it is you're accusing that because you can't do something that a man's supposed to be doing, or from what you think that automatically means that we're over you in that case. No, it's you say engineer. What engineer are you talking about? Technically, I'm a network engineer, so that's different.
I'm an electrical and computer engineer.
So basically any job that would be high risk, danger, physical, blue collar work. No, I don't agree with that, because I think that they're more susceptible to be injured. How is that not coming from a good place?
No, childbirth is high risk.
Come on, dog. Are you?
Childbirth is high risk.
Oh my God, brother. Are you serious, man?
I'm serious.
Are you serious?
I'm serious. It's a heart attack because
you comparing those two things.
I'm comparing those because your point, right, is based in some type of fear, man. I don't know what the fear is, but I'm listening to you, and it's based in some type of fear that you don't want a woman to get in a position where she may think she don't need a black man. But the reality is a black woman will always need a black man, and a black man will always need a black woman because they balance each other. It has to be understood from that perspective. But you put these type of titles and these type of levels is demeaning, right? And it's destructive, right? To her spirit and to her place of value. That's not healthy, right? It's not healthy, right? Now, my thing is, and this is coming from somebody, right? Go ahead. That is married, right? Let's check out. This is coming from somebody that is married, right? To a woman that is in the struggle with me. That is a vanguard, just like I am, for the advancement of our people. That step into positions to protect our elders, to protect our children, to educate our children, and to build them, right? You feel what I'm saying? I do this work every day. I am certified in what I do. Anybody that knows me knows that, right? And my wife, you feel what I'm saying, reflects me and I reflect her, right? I would never sit there, you feel what I'm saying, and tell her, that, oh, you can't do this because that's not your place. You feel what I'm saying? At the end of the day, if it's necessary for her to do that, then it's necessary for her to do that, right? It doesn't diminish me. It doesn't put me in a position to think I'm less than, and I'm very masculine. Anybody that knows me, I'm a very powerful force. You feel what I'm saying? You know, any environment I step into, I'm highly respected. And my presence alone commands respect, right? But it's also a humbling presence, right? And with my wife, I respect her, I honor her, and I carry her. You feel what I'm saying? With me. And it's time that she carries me. The balance of it, right? The way that you're talking, right? For you to have a mother is disrespectful, man. You feel what I'm saying? Because you basically telling your mother, that you can't do this and you can't do that, right?
Putting limitations.
She's by herself and she needs it, right? And it's necessary for her to do it. She's just supposed to wait. You feel what I'm saying? Instead of going out there. And that's how we handicap our future. That's how we handicap a value role each, right? But it should never be the point, to diminish either one, because it's necessary. It's time for when I'm not around, my wife has to be able to discipline my son without him undermining her.
Did something happen or is it me? Oh, he went out. Yeah, he was breaking. Yeah, he was breaking up. He went out. He went out. He was breaking up. But hold on, Dr. Saw, did you want to address Brother Nate before he gets off?
I wanted peace, family, peace, Dr. Mayat, peace to the panel, peace to the Baba. Yeah, I mean, Nate, I think Nate is not doing the best in articulating what he's truly trying to say.
How so? Man?
Because I think. Okay, you gonna let me go?
No, real quick. Before you go, because I didn't see. The thing is, the brother went on so much. I actually wanted to refute one of his points about the whole childbirth thing.
No,
you know what I'm saying? Because real quick, because he said something about it being risky, like as if to say that, like to try to refute my point about the whole engineering thing, the physical labor part. But but here's the thing about it: is it less risky if you do a home birth? Correct? Because I'm a huge believer in that. I don't even believe in having home births at the hospital. So there has to be context in that. But go ahead.
I think he's coming back.
Yeah, he's right there.
I didn't get a chance to get a word in to rebuttal anything you said. So
he's right there.
Baba Adisa.
No, he was still going. I didn't get a chance to rebuttal anything he was saying. So
I think he's having technical difficulties.
So I'll go. I think these conversations need more time and patience, and I think that why I'm saying you're not doing the best at making your own point, I go back to what Bob Imhotep was saying earlier. I think that one of the main reasons that you're not doing the best at making your own point is that you weren't arguing with him, basically. And I would argue.
How so? What do you mean, bro? I just said something. I just argued with him. What are you talking about? About what specifically? You talking about the whole engineering, like the engineering argument?
Let me tell you why I think so. Because I think you're triggered. One, because you won't even allow me to parse out my thoughts. One, because you're triggered, I think you're saying things to even Bob Imhotep that he didn't even say. One.
No, that's not true.
Nate, let me finish. I don't think you will know that right now because you're triggered. And I what I'm saying is I'm not the one that's going to come on this panel and say that some of the things you're saying is not to be taken into account. I don't think you're making it from a cultural framework. I think you said, I don't think you're making it from an African Senate cultural framework. And I think that that's part of the major problem that we have here. And I think that lots of people are misunderstanding what the dear Bob Imhotep is saying. I put some notes here and I'll just read it so I can just say it and move on. I'm gonna say there are no completely innocent parties when we talk about the corruption that has emerged out of this myopic trauma our people have experienced. I'm saying there are no innocent parties. And I always want to keep it balanced because I do family therapy. And I realize that one is going to point the finger at the other is going to point the finger at the other. And the problem is that is not what Bob Imhotep was trying to do. We argue the most against people are trying to bring unity. Now, I can see how people may have taken that clip and it could have triggered some things. He never said all. There is the truth. There is a fact that some brothers need to get their things together. I'm also going to add and say there are some sisters that need to get their stuff together. I'm not the one that don't do both sides. I do both sides all the time.
Same here, Doc. Same here, Doc. I'm like, it's
all the time. So you hardly ever hear me make a statement without saying both. But I don't think both is always needed. Now let me since everybody clarify, I've been with my wife. I've been my wife for 30 years.
And that's what it is, man.
So Baba Adisa, you
I'm trying to mute. Yeah, I'm trying to unmute him.
So I've been my wife for 30 years. I'm 46 years of age. Okay, I just wanted to clarify that because everybody been saying that. Okay, so I'm gonna go back to what I'm saying. The damage of the history continues to shape how we see one another, how we interpret conflict, and how easily we become divided. When I am saying that I think a lot of us are struggling with this issue, and I think that some of the points you're making should be taken into account.
You heard me say.
I think some of those things Bob Imhotep was speaking to that a lot of people who was coming, he was speaking about culture. And I do think, as I put in the chat earlier, I do think there is a set of people out here that think that there should be, that they're very strict on gender roles, and that there's some that think there should not be any gender roles. And I do think that culturally, there's nothing wrong with people as a majority, and I think something is missing from our relationships, and that is some level of gender roles. I am not saying they have to be hard set.
Right.
I am not,
I say right. I agree.
I'm not saying they have to be hard set. But what I will say is, because my wife knows what it is to be a woman in the way she knows how to be a woman, and I know how to be a man in the way that I know how to be a man, that's why we work together well. Even whether or not I wanted to admit that. I had to really sit back hard and really think about this. And a lot of people will have problems, I'm saying on both sides, with what Bob is saying if they truly heard exactly what he said, because some people will say that he's talking about gender roles. I'm being honest, because there's no. I think that there is a need for some level of cultural gender orientation. Now, whether or not that makes somebody a leader or not, I'm not getting that argument, because I don't see myself as a leader over my wife. I see us as co-leaders. Now, my wife trusts me with things. I trust her with things, and that has worked significantly impactful. And I think we can learn a lot from that in a society. So what I'm saying here, what we are witnessing right now is a real ideological struggle. And when you are committed to the work of bringing Black men and Black women back into alignment, you quickly realize that this terrain is not simple. It is not simple. And I thank Dr. Myatt for having this conversation. I thank Baba for having this conversation. And it's something that I'm actually moving into. Dr. Myatt already know that I've been talking about these issues, and I will continue to talk about these issues, because again, we do deal with these pseudo African-centered frameworks, and or we pull in, and I'll challenge the sister. I'm not sure if she was a sister early. I would say that at the essence,
I knew it.
Feminism is not just about women getting equal rights. It's a whole ideological paradigm with a history that is devastating, has been deplorable and hurtful to brothers.
Thank you, brother. Thank you, brother. Thank you. Thank you, brother.
Hold up.
Go ahead, bro.
Don't everybody get triggered.
No, go ahead, brother. Go ahead.
Keep in mind, I said it's been hurt to brothers and sisters of our community.
Absolutely.
I said, can you
100%.
The how?
100%.
I'll give you one example that white women of the suffrage movement were contending for the rights over Black men. I'll just stop there, and we'll go back.
Yes.
Also, check out Tommy Carey's work. Check out Dr. Clearno Hudson Wayne's work. I would say that Africana womanism is a great example of what an African-centered framework for our community. I think Dr. Tommy Carey, but I don't think Dr. Tommy Carey's is African-centered enough, but I think it has great data. And I think in another way that feminism has been, I don't care if you put Black on front of it or whatever. Another way, hold on, let me finish. Another way that has been devastating to our community is that there's a lot of theory there, and theory is beautiful. But why this brother is so triggered, and to some degree, is that he knows how, I would imagine he knows how it's been weaponized against Black men in general. Now,
absolutely.
I think he's overcorrecting. I think he's overcorrecting, you know, and maybe he's not utilizing a total African-centered lens himself, because that overcorrection is, from my standpoint, that is a what is it called, Dr. Maya? It's called a reaction.
Yes.
And that's why I'm saying I don't think you're really hearing what Baba Imhotep put down, because I understand I would argue, and I maintain this until maybe we can put it into practice or put the experiment out there. If most people would hear what Baba Imhotep said and they hear him spell it out, that a lot of brothers and sisters on both sides of this argument, especially Black feminists, will have issues with some of the ideas, because a lot of times, I'll give you another one, and of course there's schools of Black feminism or feminism, you understand? I teach this stuff, by the way. So what I'm saying is that there are people who are more extreme than others. You seem to be a little bit more to the balanced center, my sister, and very open to the brother in the common struggle. But I'll give you some ideas, some other ideas why it becomes problematic, because the theory itself often it creates a narrative of the black man. And it creates a narrative the black man is the oppressor. Maybe that's not your framework, my dear sister, but that is a common framework that you find inside of feminist lenses. And also some of the history, even the history we mentioned today, if we were to take another view at it, even when you go back to Sojourner Truth, and we really look at what was going on, we will realize how even her thinking was thwarted by black feminism as well. So I'm saying that's a hero, a shero of mine. That's
I need you to say that.
Huh?
You're making claims, but you're not explaining the how. How was her ideology thwarted by the black?
Hold up. You're acting. Hold on. Back up 1 second, my dear sister. You're acting like when you asked me those questions earlier, I didn't give you examples. Please concede to that.
I did, and when you gave me an example.
So now you want to ask me for another example, right? That's what you're asking for?
Hold on, brother. When I asked you about the black feminism and how it hurt the black man, you went to the white woman trying to overtake the black man. That's what you did.
That's not what happened. I gave you an example. Let me finish. I gave an example of the theory. Whether or not it's black feminist theory, it has created an ideology on how the black man has become the oppressor. And I said there's variants of this. That's another example. I said it earlier.
Right, but that's not an example, right? So when I asked you for, sir, I cannot argue with you. I don't want to do that. I waited patiently for you to finish what you were saying. And now I'm just.
Could you imagine that I sat here? Hold on. Let's look. No, Dr. Mark, we're not going to do that. Because could you imagine I sat here and I listened to all of you? Let's keep that a buck. I sat here. I was on this thing for like over maybe a half an hour listening to you and everybody else talk. Before she brought me up, huh? So what I'm saying is, so what I'm saying. Let me just rock. Let me finish mine and then you come in, okay? Because I'm feeling like you're triggered right now, and you don't want to listen to, you don't want to hear me out, my dear sister.
No, I started to speak, and you started to overtalk me, and then I'm saying, "Hey, chill out. Let me finish."
Can I finish my statement and then you come in?
Sure.
On me.
As long as it's going to be an equal opportunity between us.
Well, it is an equal opportunity because I heard you out the whole time you were speaking. I'm just asking you now if you will allow me to finish my statement. Let me land my plane, and then you come. Because you've cut in several times. And now you're trying to act like I'm cutting you off when I was talking. And I don't like how that feels. I don't feel that. I don't like how that feels.
Doc, go ahead. You got the floor, Doc. You
okay.
Got the floor. Mm-hmm.
So part of the challenge I see is that Bob Imhotep is speaking from a genuinely African-centered lens. While many of us often unknowingly are operating from frameworks that are actually pseudo-African centered. These frameworks sometimes get merged into our thinking and presented as if they are authentically rooted in African thought, when in reality they carry assumptions that come from outside of that tradition. I'm going to land it on this. I understand the sensitivity of the subject and the real triggers that exist on both sides of this conversation. At the same time, I believe that many people are reacting without fully understanding the framework that Baba Imhotep is actually coming from.
Well written. I appreciate that analysis, Doc. Well written. I mean, I don't have anything, and you and I talk about that all the time, like how feminism is still a European. Is based on a European or derived from a European framework, even if it's black feminism. So you and I have had these conversations. So I already knew what perspective you were going to bring. And I appreciate that. Queen, did you have some things you disagree about regarding what Dr. Starr said?
Especially with especially with feminism starting with white women. Just because a term was coined by a certain people doesn't mean the act wasn't already being done. Right. Everywhere you find oppression of women, you find equal or opposite thought of telling people that women need to be equal under the law. everywhere you go. Even down, I believe it was I want to say Aristotle, but it was definitely one of the Greek writers that even wrote that, you know, oppression of your women would be an issue, and women are.
You going out, Queen? I don't know what's going on with this tonight. They Baba Adisa signal.
Can you hear me now? I'm sorry.
Now we hear you, Queen. I don't know what's going on with this platform.
Yeah, my headphones just died.
Okay, go ahead.
So what the thing that the brother did that I will say alarmed me, not triggered, more so alarmed, was the fact when I asked you the how, you went straight to white women. When in I don't know if you ever heard of Phyllis Wheatley, but she was a writer in the 1700s. And in her writing, she's talking about the equal opportunity of Black women, because Black women were literally property. So to say that we got feminism from white women when we were property is insulting to our own intelligence. Right? Like, women can tell when they are being mistreated. We don't need white women to tell us that we're being mistreated. And then you're overlooking the things that Sojourner Truth actually said, but beyond the Ain't Our Women speech, where the white women literally changed the tone of that speech, because it was never called Ain't Our Women, because Sojourner Truth was a Black woman that spoke Dutch from the North. Why would she have a Southern accent? So what you're looking at is a reframing of history through white people's eyes, and then you're blaming it on Black women. And she also used to say things like, during that convention where Black men were getting their votes, she said, y'all all here talking about y'all vote, but I don't hear nobody talking about the Black woman. She said that. If that's not a feminist thought process on her own, I don't know what else is. When you have Maria Stewart, one of the first Black women to speak publicly about politics in Boston in the 1830s, right? She had abolitionists, and she has an abolitionist foundation, but she definitely had speeches about Black women and them getting autonomy. Right? There's Frances Ellis Watkins. Like, there's so many Black women out there that were speaking about the rights of Black women before the suffrage movement. And then we were at the suffrage movement, because they tried to tell Ida B. Wells that she had to march in the back, and she said, oh, hell no, and marched right in the front, because we understood that white women wasn't our friends either. So we cannot keep on pretending like this history doesn't exist. Black feminism built Spelman College. Black feminism built Mary Bethune's college. Black feminism built Lena Walker's first Black bank that funded a lot of the Black community. Black feminism gave Chicago their first alderman. So this idea that Black feminism is not working within the Black community, that's just a misjudgment of how you're looking at the history. We got to give respect where respect is due. And again, I would like to ask, how did Black feminism hurt the Black man? Black women, how did we hurt y'all?
No, hold up.
Politically.
Are you asking me that again? Okay, so at the second, I said feminism and Black feminism. I spoke to both already, and I'm also citing a Black woman who has a lot on this. You know what I mean, Dr. Clearno Hudson Weems. Mm-hmm. I'm also speaking from Dr. Tommy Carey's research and his quantitative data, and how there's a lot of misinterpretation of the Black man that Black women, not Black feminists, also continue to their interpretive lenses, which would also argue not just that Black men are misogynists, because we understand that's a problem there. We do. I understand that for real. I understand that we do adopt these paradigms, these Western religious constructs. we do, and we see ourselves as greater than and all that through these ideas. And even when we're not even fit to be leaders, we want to be the one that lead. And in fact, we struggle with, and I counsel people every day, brothers who may not make as much money as their woman, and the woman is there and saying, look, let's do this together. But in his psyche, he can't even deal with that because his Western framing. So that's now on the male. Look, I understand the issue is there, but now look at on a more societal level, on a more, let's say, theoretical level. Lots of times, and what happens is black feminists continues some of the arguments that frame black men as oppressors. And they say they are oppressors, and some spend most of their time on, and this is Dr. Cleveland Hudson Williams to speak about it, on gender versus the race issue. So like lots of people build institutions. Let me just go back there. I mean, the black church has all type of institutions and all types of schools, but you also critique them. So I want to say, just because somebody's built the institution is not evidence that they have not also caused harm in our community. But there's the theoretical framework itself is also part of the divisiveness.
All right. So no, I appreciate that, y'all. They in the chat, they like, we didn't derail the conversation that got into feminism. But sister, look, I think that it would be great for you and Dr. Asar to come back and we can unpack, another topic. We could discuss another topic. Is feminism, good or bad for the black community? And that's another conversation that we can have. So Queen, I'm going to put my email address in the chat. And I want you to shoot me your information so we can line it up. All right. Is black feminism good or bad for the black community, Queen? So
I would love that. And I'm gonna act like I got a job and I'm gonna go back to work.
Go ahead. No, I appreciate you weighing in. But let's do that.
I'm definitely down with having this conversation. I appreciate all of y'all. Like, brother, just because we had this little back and forth, like I really do respect your mind and I do respect how you handled the conversation, because it be going left with a lot of other brothers. So I appreciate that.
No, I appreciate you. I appreciate you, Badge. And I teach 90% of my students are women, and we talk. And 90% of my clients are women.
It shows. Yeah. It shows.
Yeah. And I got 3 sisters and a wife. 30 years. Yeah, thank you.
And I got nothing. I got a bunch of brothers. I got a daddy. I got uncles. Like I come from a big male family.
Yeah. Same here.
Yeah, so it's like I feel like we can definitely have this conversation and hit each other with the information, but still hug it out theoretically after the situation. So I'm down for it.
All right, Queen, give my email address. I just put it in the back chat for you. Okay.
Baba Hotep has appeared.
Look.
I'm getting it now, and I'm going to send you an email, but I'm going to drop off. Y'all have a great night. Right. I'm still listening though.
You do the same, Queen. All right, so look, we got to close out, y'all. We almost at the 3-hour mark. We done went from male chauvinism and sexism to feminism. We done went all around the mulberry bush. And so I do know Baba Adisa's call kept dropping. Baba Adisa and Nate, I mean, do you all have anything you all wanted to tie up? And then I'll go to you, Dr. Asar, and then me and Baba Imhotep will close out.
Yeah, I would like to extend myself to the brother, because my thing is that I think the black men need to spend time building with each other.
Absolutely.
To be able to bridge the gaps, because too many of us attack each other instead of trying to strive to understand each other, and we spend too much time leaning into other people's culture instead of finding ways to be able to bridge each other in our own culture, because we have our own unique culture. That's designed for us, and I'm an easy person to deal with and interact with. I do this work consistently, and I like building with brothers and being able to bridge those gaps and stuff like that. So if the brother's open to that, I'm definitely down for that. Gym, workout, study class, build, whatever, that's where I'm at. Anything that mean they can bring black men together to be able to do that work. PLM is always geared towards being able to unite and build the people, but we have to have a consensus of what we're building upon, so that everything can grow organically, and also correctly.
No, absolutely. I mean, I couldn't agree with you more. What you say? What you say that, brother Nate? Because you said you're not that far from us, right? You said you're in Fredericksburg, or
Yeah,
no? You said
yeah,
Virginia line or
yeah,
something.
yeah. Fredericksburg. It's right between Richmond and DC. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. You're right there. So, what do you say to that? What do you say to that, brother?
I mean, yeah, I'm down for it. I'm. I mean, like I said, some of the attacks that brother was talking about, I'm not with it. But like I said, I'm definitely, at the end of the day, I just wanted to come to respect my peace and understand that, my attack really was on the feminism part of it. That's my main thing that I wanted to attack, because I really feel like that's the biggest drawback to this whole thing at the end of the day. So
Okay, no, I totally understand.
that's all I want to make my point. So
Baba
yeah.
Disa, can you throw it in the back chat? It says can you throw it in the back chat? Your information, I'm sorry, in the private chat, Baba Adisa form, so he can contact you.
Oh, you said in the private chat?
No, I'm saying Baba Adisa.
Oh.
In the can you see the private chat, brother Nate?
I don't think so.
Well, this is what I'll do. I'll put it on. He's on social media. So Baba, you're on social media under is Adisa Fatiu?
Yeah, I'm under Adisa Fatiu on Facebook. IG is Action Figure Yo, but you probably can just find me at Adisa Fatiu on Facebook. And also, brother, it wasn't an attack. I'm passionate about our people growing, and when I hear things that can cause static in the growth and development, of not only our men and our women, I take it personal, just like all of us should take it personal, because we got to grow.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Brother
Right.
Nate, I have it on the screen. So like if you come back to this recording and you fast forward it to the end, it says at Adisa Fatiu on Facebook. So I have it on the screen. You come right back there, grab it, and build with the brother, okay?
Yeah, was that same, can it be reached on IG too?
Yeah, it's Action Figure Yo on IG. Action Figure Yo.
You mind dropping that on the screen as well? Because I don't really be on Facebook because of job stuff. So, you know what I'm saying? I try to stay off the.
Okay.
Yeah.
Action Figure Yo. Tell me, Bob, is that the correct one? Hopefully I spelled everything right.
Yeah, it's all one word. Yeah,
That's
one word. Yep. Action Figure Yo. Yep.
Okay, there it is.
Thank you,
There it is. No problem. No problem, Baba.
Okay.
And Brother Nate, I look forward to seeing your growth, warrior. You're gonna grow though. I already know. I'm rooting for you. You're gonna grow. You about to grow. You about to evolve. I'm already rooting for you. But appreciate you coming on, warrior. Appreciate you coming on. All right.
Hey, look, man, I appreciate everybody. You know what I'm saying? Especially some of the dialogue, because I know people are real big on cutting each other off and stuff like that. So I appreciate how that was handled. Actually, the other brother, not the brother you just dropped, but the other brother. You know what I'm saying? So I mean, I respect that. You know what I'm saying? And it was good for me because that's one of my weaknesses. I gotta admit, as a man, that's one of my weaknesses, man. When I feel strong about something, man, and my mindset on it, like it's time for me to discuss it. I'm basically trying to tell you I'm right, and I ain't trying to hear nothing. But I needed to hear some disagreement. You know what I'm saying? But make it respectful. So that this actually helped me grow as a man. You know what I'm saying? For real. I can't even lie about it. So it was much needed. You know what I'm saying? So I appreciate being brought on, and like I said, I'm gonna reach out and everything, and stay tuned and everything. So appreciate y'all.
Appreciate you. And look, I'm looking forward to seeing you at some of the events in Baltimore. When PLM have an event, I want you pull up, brother, and meet you face to face. Okay? So get home safe.
All right.
And it's nothing but love and respect and on over here for you, brother. You're welcome on anytime, okay?
I appreciate you. Y'all have a good one, man. Have a blessed one.
You do the same.
Right.
Peace.
So.
That's what I'm talking about. That's all it's about. You know, just communicating and hearing people out and building, and then there's growth. You know what I mean? So I appreciate that. I appreciate that. Dr. Asar, what are your last words? What are your last words, warrior?
Blessings. Again, appreciate the opportunity for allowing me on. I appreciate you bringing dear Bible on and the rest of the family. I appreciate you for opening up the platform to these type of discussions. I would say that one thing I realize is that when you are about the unification of Black men and women, that is some of the most difficult work to do. You would think that the unification of us would be easy. But when you are the person in the middle saying, look, both sides, look, we got to look at these things. It's not a one side. That is a very difficult process. You understand?
Absolutely.
And that's the same when it comes to our relationships, especially because we're utilizing these foreign ideologies, whether we know them or not. And we mean well with them even. I promise you that their brother meant well. And I promise you that their sister meant well. But these are still foreign ideologies that they might even think a pseudo-African Senate. I mean, they might think of African Senate, but I want to say they're pseudo-African Senate. And I call them, look, I'm always talking about the white matriarchy and patriarchy. To me, shove them both down because they both are problematic. And if you build a African Senate framework on a Eurocentric framework, you've already started off with the wrong foundation. Until next time, I say peace and power. Thank y'all.
Peace. But I agree. But Doc, you gotta say that last line again. When you built, say that again. When you built, say it back.
I don't know what I said.
When you build on top of you talking about a Eurocentric framework, I want you to repeat that line. When you build, do you remember that?
When you build on top of a Eurocentric framework, you already started off wrong. Is that what I said?
Something along those lines. But I'm gonna run it back.
I was in my flow, Doc. I was in my flow. I was doing what Baba Adisa do. You know, I'm still waiting for the album. You know what I'm saying? I keep hearing this one track. I'm like, where can I get this track out?
He has the whole album out. It's out.
Oh,
it's out. It's like it's 25 tracks. It's
really?
out.
59.
59.
59.
Oh, you done added like 24 more tracks to it. 34 more tracks. 34 more. All right, so I gotta catch up. I got some catching up to do. Yeah, I got some catching up to do. Oh, he dropped off. Baba Adisa, what's your closing words, warrior?
Closing words is that we have to always do the research coming from the hip and not studying who we are as a people and allowing our education to be rooted in somebody that never cared about us isn't going to progress us anywhere. You know, a lot of times we have great ideas and thoughts about things, but what are they founded in? You know, you have to be someone that studies diligently, constantly, in order for you to make sure, that you're thinking right, your spirit is in the right place, that you are emotionally balanced, because we are at war. Every day of our life, we are at war. We were born into the war, and our children are being born into the war. You know, so the only way to be able to be liberated is we have to liberate the mind. Where the mind goes, the body must follow.
Where the mind goes, the body must follow. Ashe. Well, appreciate you, Baba, for dropping in. You all came through here deep. Baba Tameen, everybody pulled up. The E5 folk, the E5 twins from Florida. Then I see Baba Tameen. I see Baba Adisa, the Mama and Gina. I said, oh, the family in the the family said, oh, the week late. But I love it, though. I love it how you all came on and you came strong. So much love, much love to the PLM family and the Fatius, Bob. Appreciate you. Appreciate ya. All right, Bobby Imhotep. It was a night. It was a night. And I want to thank you for taking time out of your schedule, as always, Baba, to drop the information. I have a lot to go back and chop up tonight because it was a lot of things that were dropped. But I appreciate you, Baba. Your mind and your time, your energy, your work, your sacrifices, just who you are, Bob, and all that you do. So I appreciate you. It's a Friday night. You could be in there with Mama Ife and the boys doing whatever. But yes. You're right on the platform building. But we were effective, Baba, because this brother, I'm gonna check y'all out. I feel like I've grown, and that's what it's about. Fostering growth. Fostering growth and transformation in our community. So, Baba, that's what you do, and you have been doing for decades, and I appreciate you for that. But any closing words, Baba, for the listening audience?
Yes. As I listen further. I would just make note, as I've always made note, is the issues that we are contending with as a people are very complex. And we have to be scientific in our approach to how we deal with the issues by really taking the issues apart. Oftentimes we attack multiple issues in one conversation and it convolutes the conversation. So because I'm addressing men doesn't mean that I believe that women doesn't also have to correct their stuff.
Absolutely.
Right? It doesn't necessarily mean that. So oftentimes we kind of we think everything got to be attacked in one setting. We got to move real slow, real strategic, real surgical as we peel these layers back and go to the core of it. Because oftentimes what's happening when we get the pushback is coming from a place of hurt. And it's like, here they go again. You're coming at black men, so now I got to come to the defense of black men. We're not allowing ourselves to hear the totality of what's being said. So we feel like we got to come to the defense. And so our arguments oftentimes are stemming from how we feel a need to defend rather than a need to amplify and open up the conversation for deeper clarifications. And lastly, it's not always understood that each person who spoke tonight, whether they named it as such or not, spoke from a specific ideology. Every single person, whether they call it that or not, their speaking points was ideological. They was representing a position, and every position is political.
Political, that's a fact, Bible. Every position.
So they may not thought that, but see, everything was ideological. So I'm trying to bring us so we can look at these issues through an African-centered lens. They are coming from this general lens, but when you're general, you're pulling from other people's stuff. And that's how they was missing what need to be understood about who we are and how we see the thing. So as we go forward, we got to become very clear about ideological clarity. We have to strive and struggle for ideological clarity. And all ideologies emerge out of a world view.
Facts.
All ideology emerges out of a world view. And world views are specific to cultural groups. Simple as that. There's a Chinese world view. There's a Japanese world view. There's a Korean world view. There's a Eurocentric European world view. And there's an African world view. Case in point, anyone that relates to the Bible have already stepped out of an African world view. Even though we argue, well, all the religions started in Africa. But there's not a single religion that's practiced today as it's practiced that correspond with African thought. Not a single one. Because all the major religions doesn't have their quote unquote creator God does not have a companion. None of them.
None of them. That's facts.
Right? So all of them already starts, the beginning of the religion is already anti-African. So you can't say that no more. So we look at these little small things that we think originated in Africa and say it was African religion. No, the next thing they all share that's not African is they start off with sin. No African cosmology start with sin. We don't even acknowledge sin in African cosmology. We acknowledge evil, and evil is the fracture or the breakage or the subverting or the violating of order for us. Two different worldviews.
Teach.
Two different worldviews. And so we got to understand that. So we got to be able to pinpoint our ideology, and then we have to be able to situate that ideology in the specific worldview that it's emerging out of. And then we need to be clear about which worldview we are operating from. Many of us are operating out of their worldview. That's why we stay so confused, because we're using their worldview to try to understand why things not working for us. That's a confusion. That's a confusion, right? We can't use their worldview to figure out why our stuff is out of whack. You're going to be confused. So when people come along, such as myself and other people, yourself, Dr. Saw, and many other people, that's trying to look at our situation and assess our situation with African eyes and African tools of analysis, that's how we run into this thing like this right here. So what I will submit to those of us who are out here who are genuinely trying to answer the African issue or deal with the African question situate yourself in an African worldview. And it's only one African worldview. Find out what it is. Get back to that worldview. It may not be easy. It may require a whole lot of studying, a whole lot of reflecting, a whole lot of psychic reorienting yourself to get there. But we have to get there. We have to be willing to go through the process that I broke down earlier. Imitation, assimilation, internalization, utilization, and innovation. Those 5 stages. We have to take part in the knowledge building process, the knowledge formation process. We have to just go through the process and learn to appreciate the process and not trying to subvert the process and not trying to get around the process. Learn to appreciate the process, because information in and of itself does not bring about transformation. Never have, never will. Information by itself doesn't do it.
No.
Transformation is intentional, willful, and deliberate. That's how transformation happens. And transformation follows consistency and discipline and self-correction. It's a process by which you are directly analyzing and assessing yourself, and you are getting rid of the stuff that you know is no good for who you are in terms of how you think. That's how transformation happens. You're not struggling or fighting or arguing or trying to debate the retention of thoughts, ideas, and concepts that are unhealthy. You're not trying to debate that. You are willing to be open to the recognition that these thoughts, ideas, and concepts are no good, so you can get rid of them, so you can become renewed. The renewal of who you are is your transformation, and the transformation is the power.
Ashe.
So that's what I would leave us with.
Ashe, Baba. I should have had my bomb ready. I tried not to drop it, too much, because then, people say, Doc, you distracted me with this, but I got to drop a bomb for you, Bob. I have to.
Fire! 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 Fire!
Baba, you came on here and you spit that high fire. We appreciate you. And Bob, I'm going to make sure that I include a link to your latest book in the description of this video. Okay. So I'll just use the same PayPal link, copy and paste it, put it under there so that folks can. Did you update it?
No, before it slipped my mind.
Okay.
I don't know if that sister is listening to this show, but the person that messaged you about me and her getting the book and all of that, that person really didn't allow no time, because we know we're a small, independent book people. It's not like every order to come in, I run to the post office.
I know the feeling. Yeah, I know the feeling. I know the feeling.
I go to the post office once a week. But every person that have ordered a book from Bob Imhotep, Mama Ife, or anybody in PLM, you receive your books. And I have the receipt where that book, it went to where it's supposed to go at. However, that sister also put a complaint against me, and she put a complaint, pulled her money back from PayPal. She got her money back, and she got the book.
Wow. So the one that emailed me and I said, well, let me loop him in on this.
Yeah.
She got the book.
And she put a complaint on me.
Got her money back, but still got the book and hasn't emailed and said nothing since.
She didn't reach back out to you as quick as she reached out to you the first time, did she?
No, not at all. I haven't heard from him. This is the first time I'm hearing it, Baba.
It's like it wasn't even long. She didn't allow no time before she went into thinking that I'm ripping her off. Like, why would Dr. Ma'at bring a person on your show?
No.
Like, why would you even think that way? So, but yeah, the book, I got the receipt, because I don't send no book media mail. I stopped doing that 7 years ago. Mm-hmm. Every single book I send a person is priority. Every single one.
You don't do first class.
Because it got insurance on it. It's insurance on every single book. Every book a person gets is a priority sent book with insurance on it.
Our people, we got work to do, Baba.
She got her book.
Yeah, we got some work to do, Baba. That's, like you said, you reach out to me when you felt like you weren't getting it, and then nothing came after that. Like, hey, nothing, just nothing. Crickets. But we got work to do, Baba. It's the character goes back to character. But family, I'm definitely going to put the link to his book, in the description. And you heard him. You're going to get your book. Don't even trip. He goes to the post office once a week. So if you miss out on that, you'll be mailed the following week. And I'm with Baba. I have the same philosophy. I'm not running to the post office every time an order come through. That's crazy. I'll be at the post office 3 times a week, 4 times a week. I'm not doing that.
Because it's not like that. It's not like I get 10 and 15 and 20 orders at one time.
No, yeah, it'd be one here, one there, one there. Yeah, right, one there, yeah.
So why am I going to keep running back and forth to the post office like that? So we have to exercise understanding when we work with each other. We got to know, like, I'm not Amazon. You know what I'm saying? I'm not Amazon. Right. Amazon is trying to put me out of business.
Right, absolutely.
So Amazon is trying to do. So you got to know, like, check out my record, check our record out. Like, we solid people that's doing this work. So if you order a book or a product from us, you're going to receive your product.
Ashe. Ashe. You heard him. All right, Baba. Appreciate you. Appreciate you, Baba. Thank you so much.
The sister, I see one of the sisters say she got her book. Sister, quite a few people said they got their book. Sister Tiffany, she say what? She said, I got my book. Another brother say Sankofa say he got his book. He said, I got my book and it's good. And quite a few people say they got their books.
Oh, yeah. I'm seeing fire symbols. Yep, I'm seeing Cheapo. That's Cheapo. Dang, the PLM was in the building. Y'all weren't playing tonight. They go Cheapo. I think that's our Cheapo.
Yes, it is.
That's us. That's us right there. Look at that. Yep, Mama. Yep, Mama Rashamela said, I got my book and it's good. Tiffany 410 says, small but mighty. Yeah. Everybody got their stuff. Bobby, everybody got their stuff. But I agree, Dr. Asar. He said that's part of healing. Ashe. Mm-hmm. He said, and that is needed. Ashe. All right, Bob, appreciate you. You know I'll be in touch with you soon.
All right.
Send my love to the family, okay?
No good.
All right. Oh, man, family. Tonight was powerful. Make sure before you get out of here, thumb up the video. Thumb it up, thumb it up, thumb it up, family. Also, share the video, man. You know how the YouTube algorithm works. If you share videos, if you comment on them, it helps to get in the algorithm. I'm not an algorithm because you all will come and sit and listen to the shows and then you don't come back and leave a comment or thumb up the video. But thumb up the video, family. Thumb it up, thumb it up, thumb it up. Also, family, share it and subscribe to my YouTube channel so that whenever I go live, you will be notified. Look, family, before you get out of here, make sure that you head on over to Meltrek 365. Grab your hoodie. 100 years of celebrating Black history from Negro History Week to Black History Month. Head on over here to meltrek365.com. And Dr. Asar, I have your hoodie. I just gotta link up with you. I got your hoodie. I have your hoodie. Okay. So family, make sure you head on over to meltrek365.com. Grab your daggone hoodie. Okay. All you got to do is scroll down here, click the shop now button and continue to scroll. Because if you continue to scroll, you'll have access to the Meltrek films that are available through digital download. Okay. So make sure you head on over to Meltrek 365, grab your hoodie. Okay. Your Black History Month, Negro History Week hoodie, grabs the Meltrek films. And also, family, make sure that you get your child enrolled in the UACI STEM camp. This STEM camp is free of charge during the summer. And so we're having, I think this is our, oh my goodness, guys, we're probably in our fifth or sixth cohort. All right. And so this is a Black youth-centered STEM camp. It's 100% virtual. So wherever you are in the United States, wherever your children are in the United States, they can attend the camp. Okay. Look at our scholars. This is a video of our scholars online building, programming. This is the team. Salute to Baba Amin, Mr. Sean Gales, Brother Chaz, Brother Nasir. Look, I can't even say they're students of mine now. They're former students of mine. And they're also working in industry right now. One works for the Department of Energy, and the other one, I think, works for, I don't know. I want to say the Department of Defense. I'm not sure, but they're both engineers. And so they're all qualified to teach this material, family. They're qualified. We're qualified to teach. Baba Amin has over 30 or 40 years of teaching K through 12. Mr. Sean Gales, he's also in K through 12. More than qualified to teach your child. Okay, so your child is in great hands. We are sponsored by the CAP Center of Morgan State University. It's a cybersecurity center. Also Seamless, which is an artificial intelligence center at Morgan. And also shout out to Vicki Dillard. This sister makes sure she sponsors a few children every cohort. So we're completely sponsored during the summertime. So make sure you get your child enrolled in this camp. We only have 50 slots. And I know you all may say, Dr. Ma'at, 50 slots are a lot. No, they aren't. Not when you have partnerships and parents who are like, no, my child will be with you every summer. So I'm telling you now, and if you want a slot, head on over to uacistemcamp.com and register your child ASAP, okay, as soon as possible. Family, man, I appreciate you all pulling up. I won't be live on Sunday. And why I won't be live is because I was live with you for 3 hours today. All right. So I won't be live on Sunday, but I will catch you either next Friday and or next Sunday. All right. Peace and Black African excellence.
Riders out the darts of the plan. Whose thought ain't made an art of the man. The new knowledge of power. One more prayer. Knowledge is power, and power is knowledge. Break the chains and experience the knowledge. Find power in power, and truth in knowledge. Once you know, no one can take your knowledge. I read book after book, studying the power, spent hour after hour, learning black power, destroying lie after lie. For the power found self in these pages of conceptual power. I found the truth and I'm not letting go. Frederick Douglass and Booker T found power. Nat Turner found truth in his darkest hour. Mama Harriet set us free and stood for we. In these pages I found power in our history. UEP birthed the Panther in me. In me, never let a fascist pig carry me, not me. Revolutionary thoughts, all I read. Normal for my soul, keep my spirit on high. Revolutionary thought is always on the rise. Yeah, is always on the rise. Love. Knowledge is power, and power is knowledge. Break the chains and experience the knowledge. Find power in power, and truth in knowledge. Once you know, no one can take your knowledge. I read book after book, studying the power, spent hour after hour, learning black power, destroy lie after lie. For the power found self in these pages of conceptual power. Our problem was never us, our problems was them. Them being the ones who robbed and took us, kings and queens, nation builders. From stolen legacy to Anthony Browder, building institutions with black knowledge. Build black libraries for black scholars, building black minds, urban philosophy, urban black reads every one place. Black owned bookstores, we support your space. To all black authors, we give much thanks. Knowledge is power, and power is knowledge. Break the chains and experience the knowledge. Find power in power, and truth in knowledge. Once you know, no one can take your knowledge. I read book after book, studying the power, spent hour after hour, learning black power, destroy lie after lie. For the power found self in these pages of conceptual power. Our problem was never us. Our problem was never us. Our problem was never us. Knowledge is power, our power is knowledge. Break the chains and experience the knowledge. Find power in power, and truth in knowledge. Once you know, no one can take your knowledge.